Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here for Murder Church on a Sunday morning, 9 a.m. We are getting in here. I see people still coming in down the aisle, getting in the pews. Welcome, welcome. Thanks everyone for coming through. Really appreciate it. Please give this a share on the old Twitter machine. Let people know that you're hanging out here this morning with Publicly Buzzed and watching some Murder Church. We're going into episode 10 of the Phil Spector murder trial, and this morning we're going to be looking at Melissa Grosswerner, an ex-girlfriend, another ex-girlfriend of Spector, who claims to be that he held her hostage with a gun as well, takes the stand. So we have a pattern here with Phil Spector, and yeah, come through, guys. And again, please share it out, hit the like, let people know that you're hanging out this morning. I'm coming at you. Let's go.
Let's rock.
Good morning, Murder Church. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for coming in here. I really appreciate it. Again, we're on episode 10. We are still trucking our way. We are now on 2 days a week of Murder Church, thanks to this trial, really. And I love Murder Church, and I think this is one of the best things happening here at Publicly Buzzed. And I enjoy sitting and kind of chilling with the trials with you guys. I think it's an interesting way to devour true crime in a way, especially a wild case like this where you have Phil Spector, who has murdered a Hollywood movie star. You know, she was down on her luck. Her career was kind of in the toilet, but he, again, murdered someone that was from the world of Hollywood. She had been in television. She'd been done spots in TV, in movies, and she was starting to do more B-movie type level stuff, and even had to pick up a regular job when she was murdered, allegedly at this time. And we could go a little bit deeper. There's a second trial, but where we're at right now in this trial, allegedly, with Phil Spector. And we continue to see more and more women coming forth telling basically essentially the same exact story of a nightmare with Phil Spector. So thanks again, everybody, for coming in. Let me look through the chat here real quick. Who is joining us this morning for the church, baby? Pebbles and Marbles. That's a new name. Welcome in here. Get in here. Get in here. Happy Father's Day to any dads out there. Drew, what's going on? I'm not saying that you are a father. I'm not sure, Drew. If you are, happy Father's Day. Pokemon Shelly's hanging and banging this morning. Jersey Jen's in the house. Tamzilla. Kelly Bo Belly in the house. Kai's in the house. Lil Love's in the house. Dizzy coming through. YouTube is a disaster today. I don't want to hear that. Hopefully it clears up, as there's some issues out there with the old YouTubes. Dave Umbarger coming through here this morning. CH in the house this morning. Afton. Forehead coming through here this morning. Gabby. Oh, we got a full house here in the church. Disney Nerd. That's what I like to see. Defense Attorney Meow. Oasis Cat. All the new names. I love it. Thank y'all so much. Get your coffees, get your probably nothings, get ready to rock. Shiraz in the house also. If anybody did not see Murder Church, holy crap, we had an amazing Murder Church. Watched Pineapple Express over on Kick, had a great night. But one thing that I debuted on Feral Friday was this. I'm going to show it off real quick. Was the Wheel of Spins, okay? Now this wheel, as you can see, already has some names on there. Kelly Bobelli's on there. Wildside's on there a couple of times, and even Corner Armpits, that's Amber's name over on Kick, is on there a couple of times. Anytime in the future, guys, that we have anybody come through here and is going to be donating, because we have the nicest folks ever. We have the nicest people in this community that are donating endlessly. They give us donations through YouTube, through Venmo, through PayPal, any donations, gifting out memberships, and then it counts on Kick as well. If you're subbing over, if you give out subs over there, any kind of participation in donation form to Publicly Buzzed is going to get your name on that wheel. And once that wheel fills up, we are spinning it and giving away merchandise from publiclybuzzed.com. We had a one spin happen on Friday. So yeah, and I think it's me honestly giving back, right? I mean, because you guys are the fucking best. So as that starts to happen, I'm not going to stop Murder Churches to do it like I did on Feral Friday. I'm just going to, a lot of nice folks always giving loot out here. I'm just going to get names and then put those on for spins on breaks during shows. So, yeah. But yeah, we're going to start up here this morning. I got my coffee here next to me. Got the lid off so it can kind of cool down a little bit, because it always takes a while. But I do have one thing cool to show you. Check this out. So, least we're going to see some wigs, okay? We're going to get to see some wigs. Because what I've done is, I've got a couple of different banners. We got this banner here. I got this creepy-ass banner. He's going to be staring at you guys a little bit through that one. Then I've got this banner here also. We got a couple of different wigs we're going to be showing off from this son of a bitch, even though he won't change the wigs during this trial yet. So, also got a cool little graphic here to sub up if you haven't. Click the bell and give it a like, ski guys. Again, please share it out if you haven't. You guys spreading the word of this is why it's grown so much. Anyways, and we're gonna rock and roll here. Let's go. Let's get going. Make sure the sound's right. Good morning. Let's rock.
Your first and last name for the record.
Oh, and this.
Melissa Grosvenor.
Could you spell your name, please?
Yes, sir.
Of witness.
Grosvenor.
Thank you. And your first name?
Melissa.
You can spell that for me, please.
Melissa.
Thank you. If you would sit back, pull the microphone right up underneath your chin, then we can hear you and you don't have to lean forward. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And of course, I just want to put this out there. We at all times, you can see him sitting there right now, Phil Spector. We at all times have a dead-on close-up shot of Phil Spector right here. We can all see the close-up shot of Phil Spector in all his glory, Ghoul Phil Spector hanging and banging this morning. So we will randomly show you the front-on face shot of Phil Spector.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to Los Angeles. I'd like to invite your attention to May of 1991. Where did you live then?
New York City.
How long had you lived in New York City in May of 1991?
11 months.
11 months?
Yes, sir.
And were you working at the time?
I was.
What were you doing?
I was a waitress at...
Trigger warning, guys. These have all been pretty crazy.
Mumbles Restaurant?
Yes, sir.
Try not to mumble myself. And sometime later, did that restaurant close?
It did. They lost their lease.
And did you move to another restaurant where you worked?
I did. I moved to Mermondo's.
And in both those restaurants, what was your job?
I was a waitress.
Now, the second restaurant, what's the name of that?
Mermondo's.
Was that near a big hotel?
It was. It was right across from the Waldorf. It was the restaurant in the Doral Hotel.
Okay, and we'll come back to that. In May of 1991, did you meet a man by the name of Philip Spector?
Yes, sir.
And could you tell me how that happened? Just explain it to me.
Sure. My sister and I lived in New York together.
Oh shit, the bells. Afton calling me the fuck out. Now I've got so much going on. I miss the bells, and that is not okay. We're going to start them off, baby. Bells in full effect. That's how you start a murder church. That's the only way you truly start a murder church. Afton, saving the day here. Thank you very much. Dear Lord. What is even happening? What is even happening? Oh my God, yes, Ibby. Yeah, we got the shout out her girl Heaven on for Feral Friday. Also, I'm glad that made her night. That was awesome. Glad everybody's checking out some Feral Friday. She was 11 years old checking out Feral Friday, but that's cool. That's all good. It wasn't too crazy. It wasn't the wildest night that we've had.
And we were
Gotta have the bells,
on
baby.
Ed Vernigan, and he invited us to a dinner party that he was throwing. And I went to the dinner party, but I actually
Mosh,
had
what's up, brother?
other plans
Get in here.
that I could go for the cocktail hour. So I went.
It's calling me out. I love it.
And then after the cocktail hours,
I love that,
they sat us
actually.
down to eat dinner, I said goodbye, and then I was leaving. I was on my way out. And when I was leaving, Phil was walking in with a date. He was with a blonde-haired girl, and they're walking towards me as I'm leaving, and he said, wait, where are you going? And I said, well, I have other plans. I'm leaving. And he said, well,
I'm going to object. This must be kind of narrative. In a way it is, but it's also part of the conversation. It's a long sort of question and answer, not question and answer. It just needs a long answer. I'm going to allow it as long as it doesn't go too much longer.
Okay, fine. You can finish your thoughts. So you're walking out from this restaurant because you had another event to attend.
Right.
You ran into Phil, you said.
right.
What happened then?
He asked me, he told me who he was, and I told him who I was, and he asked me to stay. And I said no, that I had other plans. And so I left, and he went up to Ahmed and asked him who, the girl that just left, Melissa, who is that? And
You later learned that.
Right.
Let me ask you a few questions about what you just told us, okay? The Phil, do you see that Phil here in court today?
Yes, sir.
Could you point to him?
Different wig, but yes.
What he's wearing today?
He's right there with the black shirt and gray suit.
Indicating Mr. Spector for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Where was this dinner party?
It was at a restaurant.
Do you recall the name?
I don't.
And you said, oh, correct me if I'm
Sarah
wrong,
coming
I
through,
said
getting
you
on the
said
wheel
your
this morning.
sister
That's what I'm talking
came to the
about.
dinner
Thank you very
party.
much.
She did.
Did she leave when you left, or did she stay?
She stayed.
Prior to that day, prior to when you were leaving this restaurant, early before the dinner, after the cocktail hour, and met the defendant, Phil Spector, had you ever heard of him before?
No, sir.
Yeah, have a good day, Sarah. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that.
And after he introduced
It gets you on the
himself,
wheel. You might win
did
a
you
T-shirt or
laugh?
whatever the hell you want from the
Did you
merch
know
store
any
for
more
that.
about him?
I did
Fiver.
not.
When's the next time that you heard anything about Phil Spector or from Phil Spector?
The following day, his assistant called me and said that Mr. Spector was wondering if you and your sister would like to join him for dinner tonight.
Now, did that come as a surprise? I mean, had you given him your phone number as you walked out of the restaurant that night?
I didn't, but he walked up to my sister and asked her if she had my number.
And later that evening, the same evening that you first met Phil Spector, did you have a conversation with your sister where she told you that information?
She didn't. The next...
Oh, shit. I did miss that Disney Nerd. Sorry about that. I think it was just this morning when everything was rolling. I do see that, though. Yeah, thank you very much. Hold on. Let me pull it back up here. I got it on the screen, but I can't actually see it. Good morning, all. This past year has flown by, but I'm glad I've gotten to spend as much time of it here with great people. Me too. Us too. In 12 months. That's a year. Holy crap. That's absolutely amazing. Yeah. No, thank you very much, because 12 months, that's crazy.
I'm telling you like it is, baby. Happy anniversary.
The following day when he called, I said, you gave this guy my number, and she said, yeah, that was Phil Spector. And she, I don't know that she knew who he was, but she had met him actually another time prior to that night of that dinner party.
At least that's what you learned later on.
Right.
So when you got the call from the assistant who said they worked for Phil Spector, that was a surprise to you. You didn't give me your phone number.
Right, I did not.
Okay. And that assistant, do you recall their name?
I don't.
That assistant in that phone call the next day asked you if you and your sister
Or
wanted
an
to go out
Amber.
to dinner.
Right.
What happened? Did you accept?
We did.
What happened then? Where'd you go?
We went out to dinner and had a great time. He was very charming. He's a quick wit. We laughed a lot and had fun.
And after that dinner, the first real dinner that you had with him, with your sister, did you start some type of dating relationship with Phil Spector?
I did.
How long did that last?
About a year and a half.
And during that year and a half period of time, would you characterize it
Kelly
as a
coming
romantic
through.
relationship?
Thank you, Kelly, getting your name on that board again. That's what I like
It
to
was,
see.
platonic
Get your chances up for
relationship.
getting something from the merch store.
How often,
That's the way to do it.
typically per week or per month, did you see Phil Spector during this year and a half period of time?
I don't know if it was necessarily.
Yeah, YouTube's been funky today also, guys, so
bi-weekly, a
just a
couple of
heads
times
up. I've seen
month,
multiple people
we
say
would
that.
Go do things.
Like what?
We would go to dinner. We would go to the Knick basketball games. I'd go to parties with him.
And during that period of time, did you enjoy being in his company?
I did.
This all occurred in New York
It did.
during the year and a half.
Yes, sir.
And during that year and a half period of time, did you learn where Phil Spector lived, where he resided?
Well, he was living in a presidential suite at the hotel in New York, but I knew that he was from California.
He told you that,
He told me that.
that he had a home in California,
Right.
and he also stayed in a hotel in
Glad
New
that you
York.
found us too,
Yes, sir.
guy.
When you first met
Fit
him,
right in
when
here.
you first learned where he lived in New York, which hotel was it?
We are a little bit different here. Let's be honest, right? Publicly Buzzed is in the true crime field, but we're also slightly different. Let's just be open and honest here. I love true crime. True crime has been a part of my life, my entire existence, basically. I've told this story on here many times. Huge Unsolved Mysteries fans, grew up on America's Most Wanted, those types of shows, Rescue 911, the whole deal. So I've always been into true crime, and getting into true crime officially with a YouTube channel, and weirdly actually mingling into the actual true crime world, which is weird, and I will never not understand how that's actually happened, but we have done it somehow, with the thanks of someone like Jay, who is deeper in it, and Bob, who is really deep into it. But it's crazy. But every single person that comes here at Publicly Buzzed and hangs out with us, I freaking appreciate the shit out of it. And again, this is something to help you guys out and give back also, and have fun on the channel. Because the one thing I want to do here, we're covering the darkest parts of this world we live in on planet Earth, and I think that we need to lighten it up just a little bit. That is one of my main goals in life in general, and I'm one of those people, you know, I've seen it talked about, especially in the chat here on Murder Church, where it gets a little bit darker. You know, I'm the type of personality in a dark situation, I'm going to be the one cracking some kind of joke to try to lighten the mood up. So I think we found each other, and I really appreciate everybody. Thanks, guys. Mandy Joe coming through also. Thank you, Mandy.
Do you recall?
House.
I don't really recall.
Did there come a time
Hit that
when
light coming through the door. Helps us
you
out,
learned that he
guys.
moved hotels to a hotel closer to where you were?
There we go. Jersey
He
Jan.
moved to the
Gift out a
Walmart.
membership. Dave Umbarger gets that son of a bitch and gets her name on the wheel. That's what I'm talking
And
about, baby.
approximately how long after these first couple dinners did you learn that Phil Spector moved to the Waldorf Astoria?
It was probably closer to a year.
So after you've been seeing each other for on and off for about
Love
a
it.
year, he moved
Love
to
it.
the Waldorf.
Right.
And
I love it.
The restaurant where you were working at that time was the Waldorf.
Just across the street.
Now I'd like you to think, I'll focus on a period of
notes
time
here,
about
so
a
I'll
year and a
forget.
half after you met him. Did there come a time when he invited you to come to Los Angeles, to his Pasadena home?
Yes, sir.
Explain how that happened.
Well, he was in New York, he was going back to California, and he asked me if I wanted to come and see California and stay a couple of days. And I said, you know, let me check my schedule, and I can see if I can. So then I told him that I could, that I had 4 days that I could go. And so his assistant called me and got the dates, and then she sent me a ticket. So when I got the ticket, it was a one-way
guys.
ticket. So then I called him and, you know, asked him.
Okay, let me ask you about that. Just, a couple of questions about that. So Phil Spector, made the initial request of you to come to California.
Right,
And then all the details were handled by his special assistant?
right.
And when you said you needed to check your schedule, was that your work schedule to make sure you get that many days off?
Yes, sir.
And how many days off did you plan on taking
Or
when
Dixie.
you went to California to see Phil Spector?
4.
We're an bronzed Aussie.
You cleared that with your
Laura.
work.
I did.
Morning,
In
guys.
your earlier answer, you said that the special assistant from Phil Spector sent you a one-way ticket to California from New York. Is that right?
That's right.
Did that cause initially any concern or alarm, or just make you wonder?
Well, it did cause concern. That's why I called and I said, why is this a one-way ticket?
What was your concern?
Well, that I wasn't going to be able to get back to New York.
You're staying in the castle forever,
And so
Melissa.
he just said that, I thought we would just play it by ear and see how long you wanted to stay, if you wanted to extend your stay, or maybe we'll just go back to New York a day or two early. We'll just play it by ear. So I trusted him and went.
So because of that conversation, your concern wasn't as great as it had been before.
Right.
So the time came for you to get on the airplane and fly to California to see Phil Spector, right? Mm-hmm. Is that yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was this do you recall, morning, afternoon flight? Do you remember when you arrived in L.A.?
It seems like I arrived around 1 o'clock
In the afternoon?
in the afternoon, after lunch.
And did Phil Spector meet you at the airport?
He did not.
Well, how'd you get around?
Well, he sent a driver, and they held a sign with my name. And then I got picked up and taken over to the hotel,
Where was the hotel to the best of your record?
Pasadena.
Had you ever been to Los Angeles before?
I'd been once before.
Do you remember the name of the hotel?
I don't.
Okay. But you went from LA International, I assume, is that right?
Right.
With the driver to a Pasadena hotel. What happened then?
I checked in, and I was there until, well, I got picked up at 8 o'clock to go to dinner.
And how did you get picked up? Did Phil Spector come and get you? Did he come in a limo with a driver? How did that
A
happen?
limo with the driver.
And where did you go next? What were the evening plans?
We went to dinner at the Beverly Hills Hotel restaurant, and then after dinner, we went back to his house.
All right, let me ask you a few more questions about that. So you went to the Beverly Hills Hotel for dinner. If you left Pasadena at 8 o'clock, would you get there at 8:30, 9 o'clock? About?
Probably.
And do you recall whether or not Phil Spector had any alcoholic beverages during the dinner? Did he drink?
Yes, sir. He did.
How about you?
Yes, sir.
And after the dinner, what did you do next? Where'd you go?
We went back to his house,
In Pasadena.
Pasadena.
Do you have any sense about what time you arrived back in Pasadena after the dinner in Beverly Hills?
Phil's
I'm
still
not
up
sure
there.
What time we arrived.
I always point the wrong way.
What, 10 or 11 o'clock?
Or midnight. It was late.
Even as late as midnight.
Yes, sir.
Is that the first time you'd ever been to his Pasadena hotel, Phil Spector's
His
house?
hotel.
Excuse me, thank you, Your Honor, his house.
Yes, sir.
And what happened when you arrived at the house? Just tell us what you did.
We went in, and he fixed us a drink, and he started playing music, and we were dancing and having a good time.
So you told us at the dinner in Beverly Hills.
Like, does he think he's intimidating her by all of these witnesses by just staring at them like an absolute maniac? Does he think this looks good for the jury who's looking ahead like, what the fuck is this psychopath doing right now? He's staring at every one of them like an actual fucking maniac.
He was drinking there, correct?
God.
And did he continue to drink at his home in Pasadena?
I think so too. Like, I think that's probably in his dumb
I
fucking
had
little
a drink,
head.
but I didn't drink it because I was tired, and I didn't want to drink anymore.
Well, you were tired. You were on New York Time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall whether or not Phil Spector had just one drink or more than one drink, or do you know?
I can't recall.
Do you remember whether or not he showed any effects from the consumption of alcohol that evening?
Well, yes, I did.
Explain that to us, please. What did you see?
Well, he wasn't stumbling drunk, but he definitely was a little drunk.
Likes his
Slurring his
booze.
words at all?
Likes
or
his booze now.
Unsteady at times? What?
Your Honor, I have enough time. I'm going to start with general leading suggestions.
Sustained, even though it said or what, I would tend to agree. Just in your own words, tell us what, if anything, you noticed.
Somebody sent me this guy's name and I've
Under the
fucking
influence.
forgotten it. Who did that?
He
Somebody in the
was
chat
slurring
here?
his words some, and I guess because I just know how much he'd had to drink.
In an earlier answer, you said when you arrived at the home, not only did you each have something to drink, but you danced to some music. Is that correct?
Right.
How long? A half an hour, hour? Did you dance to the same music over and over, or different music? Tell us about it.
Yeah, he was playing the same song over and over for a large part of the time.
That's a
And,
blame.
Is that a song that you recognized or you liked, or what?
no, sir, I didn't know the song, and
Or particularly
I
like
didn't
it.
really like it,
I was
because
kind of
I was in
annoyed
the
by
country
this
for the most
entire
part.
situation.
So at some point after the dancing and listening to music, did you had enough?
yes, sir.
He's trying to
Did you
troll them.
indicate that to Phil Spector
how much
in any
can I
way that you had
Put them
enough?
through before they want to
Wanted
leave. Yeah, I want to know what song too, Dizzy.
I did. I was tired. It was after a couple of hours of being there, and it seems like it was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and I
Morning,
said,
Bo.
I'm tired, I want to go. And as soon as I said, I'm tired, I want to go, he turned and looked at me and he pointed his finger and he said, what? You want to go? And then, right then, I knew his whole demeanor had changed. And that kind of, I was kind of taken back by that. But he said, wait.
It's becoming a narrative.
I'm kind of with you,
You answered
Dizzy.
the question,
It's
you
fucking
asked
me
another
up right
question.
now.
Thank you. You said you thought it was about 2 o'clock in the morning in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
But you left in New York, so this was really 5
Morning,
a.m. to you.
Julie.
Is that yes?
Everybody rolling through here. Good morning, guys. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like ski. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Morning. Happy Father's Day also to any dads out there hanging and banging, maybe lurking this morning.
Last answer you said after you indicated to Phil Spector that you wanted to go home, you wanted to leave, he pointed his finger at you and his demeanor changed. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you've been seeing him for a year and a half, correct?
Right.
Had you ever seen his demeanor change like that before?
I have not.
After he pointed his finger at you and said, you aren't leaving or whatever you told us, what happened next?
Well, he walked out of the room, and then I sat down. It was a big chair. I sat down, and I was just waiting for him to come back.
Why were you sitting there, ready to go?
I was ready to go.
Did you have a handbag with you?
I did.
Where was it?
Sitting on the same chair I was sitting in.
Ready to go with you.
Yes, sir.
Did Phil Spector reappear after you sat down with your handbag in the chair? By the way, was the chair near the front door?
It was in.
Wow, Dixie. It's actually
just
really
in the room
fucking
where we'd
deep.
been dancing.
As you sat down in the chair with your handbag near, did Phil Spector reappear?
He did.
And what happened then?
Or
He walked in
anything,
with a gun.
including females.
Yes, sir.
Did you see anything
No
else on him
access
that you
to
hadn't seen
any
before?
women.
He was wearing a holster.
Describe the holster for
It
us.
was a shoulder holster.
And the gun, what kind of gun was it? Do you
Or
know?
children,
Do you
for that
recall?
matter. Jesus.
Was it a long gun?
Yeah,
a
forget
short
about the
gun?
fucking
Handgun.
child
A
story.
handgun. And what was he doing with the handgun when he reappeared in the room with the shoulder holster as you sat there in the chair? What happened?
He walked right up to me and held the gun right to my face with just inches between my eyes and said, if you try to leave, I'm going to kill you.
He said, if you try to leave, I'm going to kill you?
Yes, sir.
What was
Hey,
your
George, welcome
reaction
in here,
to this
man.
with a gun in your face?
I believe it.
inches away?
I
don't know
shocked.
anything about his
started
childhood.
crying. And I sat there. I was going to move because I didn't want to give him any kind of indication that I was trying to leave.
Were you afraid?
Yes, sir.
Can you a lot, a little?
Well, I was afraid a lot because there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to kill me if I tried to leave.
He said that to you.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you know whether the gun was loaded or not?
Well, I didn't want to test it.
You don't want to take that chance, did you? Now, as you sat there in the chair with the gun pointed just inches from your face, what did Phil Spector say or do after he told you if you moved, he'd kill you?
Well, he put the gun in the holster, and then he started tapping it, and then just walking back and forth, cursing, and just...
I mean, he's
talking
terrorizing.
wild. And I can't even really tell you what he was saying because I was so upset that...
Were you crying?
Yes, sir.
Is this very upsetting to you?
Yes, sir.
So much so that
Hey,
you
Gabby,
don't
thanks for
really
hanging.
remember
Have a
exactly
great
what he
day.
said.
Right.
Do you remember if anything he said involved profanities, swear words directed at you?
Fuck yeah,
There were-
Afton.
yes, he was
Welcome in
cursing
here,
a lot.
George
And were you
Caspire.
saying anything to him?
I'll get these on the
I
first
didn't say
break, guys.
anything.
Thank y'all so
Why?
much.
I was scared, and I was just crying so much I didn't say anything.
Really appreciate it.
Now, in the year and a half that you've been seeing him, had you ever seen this before, this switch?
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Overruled.
Been asked to answer.
It's overruled. You may answer.
You can answer that. Had you ever seen this kind of switch in his
No, sir.
demeanor?
I had not.
Came as a big shock?
Objection, Mr. Answer.
Overruled. You may answer.
How long
Sorry,
did...
I didn't get it.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, it's time for our recess. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind the admonition, and we'll be in recess for 15 minutes. You may step down if you wish. You're not to discuss your testimony with anyone except the attorneys.
Court's in session.
All right. All parties, jurors, alternates, and the witness are present as heretofore, and you may proceed.
Thank you,
Judge
Your Honor.
Die Hard in the motherfucking house. Well, it's far away.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That's right.
Again, good afternoon.
That's right.
Before we took the break, you were telling us how you came to Los Angeles to Pasadena, had dinner with Bill Spector, went to his house, and at some point he's pointing a gun at your face, telling you that if you try to leave, he'll kill you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Then you told us about what happened after that? At some point, did you fall asleep?
I did.
Explain that. How did that happen?
Well, I was just sitting in the chair crying hysterically, and then I closed my eyes, kind of just thinking that it would, just seem like it was a nightmare.
Fuck yeah.
And I fell
Vince
asleep.
Attorney Meow. Kathy, welcome in
Do you
here.
have any sense of what time that was? Sometime after 2?
I don't.
Amazing.
At some point, you woke up.
I did. Phil woke me up.
It hasn't been answered. She's explaining how she woke up. If that was an objection that's overruled, you may proceed.
Please tell us.
Phil tapped me on the foot, and I opened my eyes, and the first thing that I noticed was he didn't have the gun and he didn't have the holster.
Is that the first thing you looked for as you woke up?
It was the first thing that I noticed. Yes, sir.
Was that important?
It was.
Why?
Well, because I was so freaked out the night before. I just, when I opened my eyes, wanted to see if he was still holding a gun on me.
And was he?
He was not.
Were you in the same chair?
Yeah, just
you'd
have
been
a
in the
good
night
night's
before
rest.
When he was pointing the gun in your face?
Yes, sir.
Was
Fuck,
it
dude.
daylight outside or not?
It was daylight.
After he tapped your foot, you woke up, what happened next?
He said, "Would you like to go get some breakfast?" And I said, "Yes, I would."
Were you hungry, or was there some other reason you wanted to go have breakfast?
No, I wanted to go have breakfast so I could grab somebody to help me get away from him.
You wanted to get out of there.
I did.
When he, Phil Spector, tapped your foot and asked you if you wanted to go have breakfast, at that point, was there any mention about the night before with the shoulder holster and the gun in your face and the "I'm going to kill you"? Any mention of that at all?
There was no mention of it.
Were you surprised by that?
I was a little surprised.
Objection. Trouble.
Overruled.
Did you say anything about it?
I didn't.
Why?
I was afraid to.
And so after he tapped your foot, asked you to want to have breakfast, what happened then? Where'd you go?
We went to a diner, and when we sat down, I was looking around to see who I might be able to grab. And he said, "I suppose you want to go back to New York today?" And I looked right at him, and I said, "Yes, I do."
And is that what happened?
It is.
Good morning, guys.
How
Welcome
did
in
that
here.
happen?
There's sort of a
How'd you
loud
get-
bang on the stairs. I want to make
How'd
sure
you
no
get
one's
to the
dead.
airport?
Hold
How'd you
on.
get home?
I went back to the hotel, I packed my things, and he sent over a ticket. A driver took me to the airport.
So after breakfast, did you even have breakfast?
I think we did. I don't think I ate anything, so I was still very upset.
So how did you get back to the hotel from where you were having breakfast?
Phil took me back to the hotel.
He drove?
He did.
Had you seen him drive before?
I had not, because we spent our time in New York where he didn't have a car or anything.
So after he asked you if you wanted to go home and you said yes, he drove you to the hotel, you packed up, somebody brought you a ticket, a limo came, and you went to LAX.
Right.
And
All right,
went
we're
home To New York.
Cassie
I
threw
did.
some boxes down the
How long
stairs.
did
It
you
sounded like a
spend
body
altogether in
got
Los
tossed down the
Angeles?
stairs. I was like,
About
oh my
19
God.
hours.
And you were planning on spending how much time?
4 days.
So you got home way early.
I did.
Morning,
At that
Charlene.
time
Welcome in
or
here.
Some period of time afterwards, did you tell someone about this?
I did.
Who did you tell?
Objection.
Overruled.
You can answer.
I told my family, and I told some friends.
Did you have a friend by the name of Fran?
I did.
And briefly, very briefly, describe that relationship, that friendship.
Fran and I were friends, and he happened to be in Mermondo's one night when Phil was there.
They all have the same fucking story.
Overruled.
Please
And
go on.
so it was time for me to get off, and Phil was sitting at a table by himself. And then I asked Fran if he could take me home, and he did.
Brooklyn,
When we got
coming through.
into Fran's car, I told him what had happened to me, that Phil had held me at gunpoint.
In Los Angeles at his Pasadena home.
Shit.
Yes, sir.
In what kind of
Spring getting
detail?
on that
Without
wheel.
going through it all
That's
over
what I'm
again,
talking about.
What kind of detail did
Thank you so
tell
much. $9.99,
Fran?
that's
Just
crazy.
a
Thank you
gun
so
and
much.
you threatened me, or was it more than that? I'm offering two different parts.
Just a second. The objection.
I didn't need to interrupt, Mr. Mason, I'm sorry.
Well, actually, I think he interrupted you. Go ahead. What else?
Objection on 2 grounds.
Yes.
1, relevancy, and 2, compound.
Overruled. You may answer.
I told him exactly what I told you today, what happened.
Here in court in front of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, let's go back to that. When you got back to New York, you resumed your job, the job that you'd taken 4 days off from, is that correct?
Right.
And you told us earlier in your testimony before the break that the restaurant you worked at, and forgive me, I forgot the name of it.
Mermondo's?
Yes, that's why, because I probably can't pronounce it, but okay. Was across the street from the Waldorf.
Right.
Did there come a time after you came back from Los Angeles from this situation you told us about with Phil Spector that you saw Phil Spector in the restaurant?
What was that?
After you came back from Los Angeles while working in your restaurant, did you see Phil Spector there?
I did.
How long after you'd come back from Los Angeles after this incident did you see Phil Spector in the restaurant?
It could have been the following month.
And
Lurking.
from that point on, was this a rare occurrence that you saw?
I love
in the
horror
restaurant, or
movies.
did it become
But this is actually a horror movie. Like, all of these situations. Jesus.
more frequent?
It was frequent.
Can you characterize that for us? How often did you see him in your restaurant?
He would come in probably a couple of times a month, but I moved from New York.
I gotta get the hell out of here.
The latter part of the answer, I moved, will be stricken. The jury is admonished. The rest will remain. You may proceed.
Just to follow up on that, at some point you moved from New York, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the period of time from when you returned from Los Angeles and the incident at Phil Spector's house until you moved from New York. Do you have that period of time in mind?
6 months.
During that 6-month period of time, how often did Phil Spector come into this restaurant that you were working at, which was across from the Waldorf?
I'm not sure exactly how often.
Did you see him there more or less than 10 times?
More.
In that restaurant, were you the only waitress that worked in the bar area?
I was.
And so because of that, did you have to serve him?
I did.
Was that uncomfortable?
It was.
Describe that for us. How did he treat you? Was he kind and pleasant, or was he some other way?
No, he was very kind.
The objection. Objection is overruled. You may answer.
He was very kind.
He was kind to you?
He was kind.
Did he leave big tips?
He did.
Did he do or say
He
or
wants
act
an
in any way
opportunity
that ever made you
to
feel
try it again.
uncomfortable or threatened?
When he was in Mermondo's?
Yes, after the Pasadena incident.
Only, not in Mermondo's, but only when he called me up.
Okay. And to explain that for us.
He called me and asked me to go out, and I said no, and then he started threatening me, saying that I've got machine guns, and I know where you live, and you know what I can do with these guns.
And he made those calls to your home, to your apartment in
My
New York,
work. Yes, sir.
after the Pasadena incident?
Yes, sir.
Did this happen just once or more than once?
More than once.
How many times?
Well, one time that he actually talked to me, and then he left a message on my answering machine.
So twice,
Twice, at least.
at least, or were there more?
Your Honor, objection.
That is going to be crazy.
I don't remember if there were more.
Oh my God. Dude, I wanted somebody to animate that. Oh my God. Phil with a machine gun must look like Splinter off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Dude. And I imagine him like no shirt, like, and the robe, like he's got the fucking gown on, like, oh my God. Basically like a kimono type situation. Got the machine gun. And yeah, scrawny, looking like, oh my God, you just
Once in
murked
person
me.
you talked to him on the phone.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right? And once a message.
Right.
And in each of those instances, when you talked to him in the message, was the information that Phil Spector imparted to you, what he said, basically the same?
You may approach.
Defense attorney Prick, that's his name.
You may proceed.
Thank
Sorry,
you, Your
not
Honor.
sorry. What's his fucking
So
name?
these
I had his
two
name.
phone
Somebody sent it
calls,
to
one
me.
You spoke to him on the
And I
phone, the
didn't
other
say it,
message.
which is stupid.
Basically, the message is what you told us. I have machine guns and what?
Do you know what I can do? I know where you live, and you know what I can do with these.
And
Fuck.
did that frighten you?
It did.
I mean, that's pretty
And
freaking
then
scary.
After that, after the messages, did you
pretty
see him
threatening.
in the restaurant across the street from the Waldorf?
I may have seen him again in the restaurant.
And is it about that same time that you talked with Fran and asked him to take you home?
Right. It was about the same time.
How did you get here? Did you meet him? Did somebody knock on your door, or Brian Bennett? Is that how you first met somebody from the district attorney's office?
Tabby
They-
Cat, get in here.
Yes,
Welcome
sir,
in.
They came to my house in Wyoming.
Oh yeah,
You didn't do anything to approach law enforcement.
complete power trip, and yeah, he's. I mean, in this situation, right? This is a lady that works at a restaurant. Like, and some of the other ones, you know, not that they're like they're powerful, but they work for powerful people. So it's almost like, man, you think that he'd be freaked out that they would tell their bosses and then be like, what the fuck? Because they already have connections in the same industry he does, even though he's like this mogul genius, however the fuck you want to look at it. But yeah, this lady, you know, in another way to say it, a normal person, right? Working the 9-to-5 shift and being terrorized by a bazillionaire, you know, a millionaire, multi-millionaire that gets off on terrorizing women, to quote Mandy Joe there.
Or anyone else about this?
No, sir.
And they interviewed you and talked
More than
to
Jelly
you,
Bean.
and eventually you got
Welcome
a
in here.
subpoena or either that or a request to come
Yeah,
to
Bruce
court. Is that
Cutler's
right?
I was subpoenaed.
He's in here. He's the mob
That's why you're
lawyer.
here today.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure there are other places you'd rather be.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I also need to
He
ask
does
you,
the
back
cross.
in,
He's gonna go hard on her. He is
1989,
intense and a little
were
crazy.
you, do you have your maiden name?
Doesn't
What
listen
was
to
that?
Judge Diehard at all.
Okay. On August 13th of 1989, were you convicted of embezzlement of bank frauds in district court in the Southern District of Georgia?
Yes, sir.
And that was on the date August 13th, 1989. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have nothing further at this time.
Thank you for cross-examination. I think you can get started.
I've
and
seen
then if you
Cutler
need
getting
additional
up. Oh,
time,
my
depending on where
God.
it goes. There's one incident, Mr. Rosen, that we discussed at the bench. It shouldn't prevent you from proceeding with cross-examination.
I mean, his eyes, he hasn't blinked once during this entire trial. Well, once!
Then we will have the witness come back tomorrow.
Your Honor, I may be able to address this.
Yes.
I would direct.
Ladies and gentlemen, now coming down the aisle. Representing Hollywood, California, Alan Jackson. Get in here, bud.
Not to sound cryptic, I would direct counsel's attention to Bates 4154 and 4155. It appears to address that issue.
Okay.
That, if you want to take a moment, I'll be happy to show it to them.
You can have mine.
Grosvenor, am I
Oh,
pronouncing
no,
it
it's
correctly?
defense
Yes.
attorney prick.
The S is silent.
Right.
Okay.
This guy's a douchebag, but
Mrs.
he's not.
Mrs. Grosvenor, correct?
He's not as crazy as Cutler. Cutler is an actual maniac while doing cross. Like even in that post that that snippet that I put on Twitter, he actually says, "I get possessed." Essentially, that's what he says when he's doing cross. Like the judge has to be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!"
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to start, ma'am, where Mr. Dixon left off. As you sit here today, you are a convicted felon. That is true, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Coming in hot.
And
Damn.
you suffered this
Let me
felony
go ahead.
conviction in the United States District Court, federal court in Georgia, correct?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can help you here. Jen, could I please have the first? Can you blow it up, please? Your Honor, what would the court, I don't know where we are, I'm sorry, I've
It
lost
would be on
track. 7 or 8?
K.
K, I'm sorry,
K.
not even in the right
Right.
numbers. Okay. May that please be marked Defendants K, Your Honor. There will be a couple more exhibits after that. Do you want to do K, K1, K2, K3? It's all part of the record.
If it's going to be a set of documents pertaining to the same thing, you can.
Yes.
As long as Wendy's comfortable with it, that's fine.
Okay. Wendy, are we good with?
She's taking a call. All right. We'll find out later. Go ahead. If you want to mark them now.
I never want to get Wendy mad.
Neither do I. Do you want to
Yeah,
mark
stop
them
trying
now?
to do jokes, dude. You're not very good at it.
Why don't we do K1 with that?
All right.
And then we'll go from there. Is it okay? We're going to have a series of 4 documents, K1, K2, K3, K4. Is that all right with you?
They're all pertaining to the same, or would you prefer separate?
I prefer separate letters, but that's fine.
Separate?
See? We were told, and real quickly.
Okay.
Okay. And then L, Your Honor, will be a
Going up.
2-page document entitled Information. M will be a
You're a felon, so clearly you brought this on yourself, correct? Okay.
7-page document entitled Plea Agreement, and then N would be a 4-page document, which is known as a J&C in federal court, known as a judgment, including sentence under the Sentencing Reform Act.
This might be premature, but I would object. I think they're entitled to the abstracted judgment, but not all the underlying
I tend to
documents.
agree, and I'm not sure I want them marked and shown. They may not necessarily, unless you can convince me that they're otherwise relevant.
May we approach?
You may.
Ms. Grosvenor, let me ask you this.
There we go.
You were convicted in 1989, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were convicted of a felony, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that felony that you were convicted of was Title 18 of the United States Code 656, which is otherwise known as embezzlement of bank funds, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were convicted in federal court where?
Augusta, Georgia.
Okay. The Southern District of Georgia, correct?
I don't know.
All right. But anyway, your recollection is Georgia Federal District Court, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I understand. Well, Your Honor, I'm going to need to approach again.
All right.
I'm going to need to.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Grosvenor,
Get it
I
together,
want to turn your
bud.
attention to October 31st, 1988. On October 31st, 1988, you made an application to Continental Airlines to become a flight attendant, didn't you?
I did.
And in making that application, you were required to fill out a form, a lengthy form,
Right.
and you did fill out that form and you signed it, is that correct?
I would assume I did.
Okay. And when you signed it, you indicated that you were certifying the information contained in the application was true and complete and that there were no misrepresentations, falsifications, or omissions contained therein, correct?
Okay.
That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There were 2 questions in this application. Prior to this, you had worked at First Union National Bank, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And on one page of the application, there's a section entitled Employment History, correct?
Correct.
And there's a number of lines, and the last line reads, and this is in pre-printed form, reason for leaving, colon, and you wrote in, got hired with Continental Airlines. That is not true. That was not the reason why you left First Union National Bank, is it?
Right.
You were fired from there. You were
Yes, sir.
dismissed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because of the theft, correct?
Yes, sir.
There was a second part on the, well, with the court's permissions, I'd like to publish it to the jury now.
That's fine.
Thank you. Jen, may I please have, yes. Can you please blow up the top portion, please? Can you see that?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. And that's the section entitled Employment History, correct?
Correct.
Your handwriting appears throughout that portion of this application, correct?
Correct.
That's all your handwriting that we are seeing, other than the pre-printed full part of the form, correct?
Correct.
And turning your attention to the bottom where it says reason for leaving, where it says in cursive writing, got hired with Continental Airlines, you wrote that, didn't you?
I did.
And you knew when you wrote it, it was a lie, correct?
I did.
Could I have the next exhibit page, please? Which would be
Get it, Pammy.
Page 6500.
For the record, what exhibit is this?
We haven't marked it yet.
Morning, Carrie.
K.
Well, it depends. Now, K was a court record, and then we started to discuss L&M, and then we came to the bench, and for the reasons stated, we're probably not getting into that material, but you can still mark it if you want a record of it. You just have to describe
I'd like to mark it as a record.
How many exhibits do you want?
There were 4 exhibits from that, which we are not going into at the moment.
Well, K,
I'll do whatever you want.
K, I believe, was the record. It was the front page of the matter from Georgia. Okay. L, M, and N, if you have 4 total sets of documents, L, M, and N will be those documents. You can describe the others to Wendy, or you can describe it for the record now. If you're now looking for a new exhibit number, this would be O.
Okay, this will be O. So we're going to have 3 pages from this, Wendy. How do you prefer I do it? O, LMNOPQ, or O1, or 203? What do you
It's just defendant's O, a 3-page document.
Okay.
Okay?
Shit like that in this courtroom is very difficult.
Could you blow up the area where it says, have you ever?
Live shot of Phil.
No, to the right. It says, have you ever? There you go. Could we have that? That's it. Thank you. Could you please blow that up? Okay. Mrs. Grover, do you see
Thank you for
this
coming to
portion
church,
of
Gary.
this page which says, have you ever? You see that?
Oh, there, yes,
Can you
sir.
make it a little bigger, Jen, please, so she can see?
I can see it if you
Oh,
want.
see it. You see that on the left side there's questions, and on the right side there's boxes under the headings yes and no, correct?
Correct.
You've checked all the no boxes, right?
Right.
Would you please read the last question? Okay. Can we get that any bigger, Jim?
Can you see it? If not, I can read it to you.
I think you can.
What's it say?
There.
Mother
Could you kindly read that?
Been dismissed, suspended, or asked to resign from any job.
And you checked the no box.
Yes, sir.
And that was an untruth and a lie also, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Oh my
And
God.
finally, I want to show you what's been marked as pagination page.
Imagine this guy digging for hours late at night to find this. He's like, ha!
Assistance in publishing it to the jury.
Phil, we got her. Don't worry, bud. You're getting off.
That's pretty small writing. Can you see that from there? Mrs. Gross?
I cannot.
You cannot, okay. Is there any way we can blow up that first paragraph, please? Can you read that?
Going to prison,
All right, let me
Lacey.
read it to you.
You're
See
done.
Applicant statement.
Jackson, this has been asked and answered. He's already asked.
I'm going to allow it.
Okay. Applicant statement, read carefully before signing. I certify that the information contained in this application is true and complete, and that any misrepresentation, falsification, or omission herein shall be sufficient reason for dismissal from
Pretty
or
crazy.
refusal of employment. I authorize Continental Airlines, Inc., herein called the company, and that was in parens, to contact any previous employer, educational institution, or reference given by me, and I hereby authorize my previous
employer.
This guy
And
sucks.
such designated references to.
If you're new to this one, this guy blows.
Do you see that? Or did you hear that?
I heard you.
Okay, can you get to the bottom of the page, please, Jennifer? All right, and at the bottom, there's a signature line and a date line. Do you see that?
I can see that.
You see your signature?
I do.
And you signed it and dated it after you read it, correct?
Right.
And you knew when you did that you were providing false information to Continental Airlines, right?
Right.
Mother of God.
You have referred to a sister, and you indicated that in May of 1991, you lived in New York City, is that right?
Right.
You moved to New York City from Georgia, correct?
Correct.
And the reason you moved there was because...
Irrelevant.
We did discuss, but I don't know that the reason she moved at this point is relevant at all, given what prior testimony. At this point, the objection is sustained. We can revisit it at a later time if necessary.
Okay, that's fine. You moved there with your sister Angela, didn't you?
I did. Well, she moved with me.
Okay. Well, at any rate, the two of you moved to New York from Georgia, right?
Yes, sir.
And you lived together in New York, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And how long did you live together in New York?
A year and a half.
You shared the same residence, isn't that correct?
Right.
At that time, I understand now that you two are estranged. That's a fair statement, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. But at that time,
Yeah, everybody
you were very
has the
close, weren't
same
you?
story also.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
it's not that
It would be fair to
outlandish,
say
I'm sure,
you
for the
and
jury at
Ms.
this point to be like,
Grover, that, in fact, you were best friends at
all
that
these
time.
ladies are conspiring together?
You could say that.
Okay. And she would confide in you, wouldn't she?
She would.
And you would confide in her, correct?
Yes, sir.
The two of you basically had no secrets from one another at that time, right?
Objection. Sorry. Stereo.
Jackson, relevancy?
It depends. It depends whether there's going to be any statements that are introduced at a later time. I'll allow that question, and we'll see where else we go. You may answer.
Thank you.
Come on here, wicked Wookie.
You may answer. Do you have the question in mind, or you need it read back?
Read it back.
Sure. Your Honor, with the court's permission.
Would it be fair to say the two of you didn't have any secrets from each other at the time?
Well, I can't say that.
All right. But you certainly shared confidences, correct?
We did.
And in fact, you spoke with
He's got the
Angela
best
about
message
going
from
out with
Charlotte.
Spector in New
Fucking
York,
excited.
I did.
didn't you? Spoke with her many times about it, correct?
I did.
You were very excited about it, weren't you?
Excited about talking to
About
her.
going out with Phil Spector.
I enjoyed going out with him.
Yes. You told your sister that you were very excited about going out with him because he was, in your eyes, a celebrity, correct?
I did not know he was a celebrity.
You learned about who he was once you started to see him. Isn't that true?
He told me who he was.
I didn't ask you that. Here's the question. You learned about who...
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm not so sure that that is
Objection,
not
Your Honor.
responsive.
Don't be a
I'm gonna
prick.
stand.
You also learned from other sources who he was in the music industry, correct?
Megan.
No.
Well,
Morning. Welcome in here.
who was Ahmet Ertegun?
The owner of Atlantic Records.
You knew him when you were in New York, living there with your sister
Yes, sir.
Angela, correct? You spoke with him about Phil Spector, didn't you?
Jackson Day is the time when?
Can you be more specific?
Yes, we'll get there. Can this just be the foundational question then I'll
All
ask?
right.
You spoke with Mr. Ertegun about Phil Spector. In fact, on more than one occasion, isn't that true?
That's true.
And that was in the social settings during that period of time that you were living there, that year and a half, correct?
Yes, sir.
You spoke to him before you went out with Phil Spector. You spoke to him during the time that you went out with Phil Spector about him, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Comment irrelevant.
He,
There's two different periods of time here.
well, actually, that's right. The question was asked before the answer came in the second question. Sustain. You may break it down.
Okay. Before you went out with Mr. Spector, you spoke with Ahmet Ertegun about Mr. Spector, correct?
No.
And you're absolutely sure that you never did that?
Talked to Ahmed before I went out to Spittville? No, I did not.
You spoke with him after you started going out with Mr. Spector, correct?
Correct.
About Mr. Spector, right?
We talked about Phil some, yes.
You wanted to know about Phil Spector, didn't you? And that's why you asked him about him.
No, our conversations about Phil wasn't about any of the records that he produced or who he worked with.
Did you know the name Phil Spector before you first went out with him?
No, sir.
Once you started going out with him, you learned that he was a giant in the music industry, correct?
Jackson, the roll.
Sustained.
After you started going out with him, you learned that he had some celebrity status. Isn't that true? And that was one of the things that attracted you to him.
Jackson assumes fact is not evidence with respect to this witness.
Well, is it leading? Yes, but it's also cross-examination.
No, it was assumes facts not evidence. That she knew that he had celebrity
Then
status.
she can say no. I'm going to allow the form of the question, and she can answer whatever is appropriate. You may proceed.
You may answer.
Just hard down
Would you
here,
repeat the question?
dropping gavels.
Did you learn that Mr. Spector had celebrity status after you began dating him? Is that the question, Mr.?
Yes, sir. After I began dating him.
Okay.
And once you learned that, you didn't stop seeing him, did you? You continued to see him socially after you learned that from Mr. Erdogan.
Yes, sir. I didn't learn that from Mr. Erdogan.
Well, let me ask this. Once you learned that piece of information, you didn't stop seeing him. You continued
Is
to
this
see
guy
him.
Roger
correct?
I did
Rosen?
because I enjoyed going out with him.
Halftime?
And also you enjoyed the perks, for example. The restaurants he took you to, correct? You enjoyed going to the restaurants?
Yes, sir.
You enjoyed the limousines, correct?
Yes, sir.
You enjoyed the fact that he paid for a ticket for you to come to California before this purported incident, correct?
Yes, sir.
He sent you gifts, cards, things of that nature. He was very generous with you, wasn't he?
He was.
You liked that, didn't you?
It was nice.
You have another sister named Kathy, don't you?
I do.
Okay. Now, Kathy visited you and Angela when you would go to New York, but she didn't really live with you there. It was just Angela, correct?
Correct.
And, excuse me, you have testified here today to an incident that occurred in California, correct? And I think you indicated that occurred when?
Going to Pasadena?
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly when it was. I just know that it was after I had eye surgery, which would have been in November of '92.
Okay. And after that, you returned to New York, correct?
Right.
You were provided,
All right, get your throat together,
you were
buddy.
provided a ticket. You were driven from the hotel to the airport. You
Is
got
this
on
him?
the
Yeah, yeah,
airplane,
yeah.
you
Okay,
flew
this
back.
guy's name is Roger Rosen. Roger Rosen, a.k.a. Defense Attorney Prick.
To New York.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, that was the home that you were residing at with Angela,
Bite me.
right?
Yes, sir.
And when you got back home, you continued to live with Angela until you moved from New York back to Georgia. Isn't that right?
I didn't move back to Georgia.
Shout out to
Where did you
Afton for
move
that
after you
one.
left New York?
To San Diego.
Sustained.
Okay. You moved somewhere else, correct?
Right.
All right. And were you and Angela still living together at that time? No, you had separated, right?
Well, she got married.
Correct. And how long did you and Angela live together?
The defense attorney, the mob attorney, just dropped a note there for Rosen to look at, I'm guessing. And it probably says, ask this question. You murdered him, didn't you? You're a murderer. You're the person that snuck into Phil's house and murdered on this evening in question. Lana Clarkson was murdered by you. In that tone, also, please.
Together in New York after you returned from California.
He's a psycho. He's actually out of his mind. If anybody watched those
Two of you
clips.
left New York.
Checks of relevancy, Your Honor. Why is this important?
The only possible relevancy would be things that were discussed on the bench, but possible statements. If they don't come in, it's harmless. If they do come in, it gives some basis for when the conversations took place. So for the amount of time it's taking, the objection's overruled.
Well, and he just lit him the fuck.
Hey,
Let's go.
motherfucker.
And they ain't even hot yet.
Answer the question.
She moved back to Georgia.
Get him
after a
riled
year and a
up.
half
It'll be
of living
another.
with me, and then I lived by myself
Another day,
for another
baby.
year and a half.
I understand.
Wild
What I'm
in
saying
here.
is, how long did the two of you continue
Color's
to live
nutty,
together?
yeah, that's-
Once you returned from California after your 19-hour
Test
stay,
that after that
was a matter of 6
one
months,
episode,
8
couple
months, 3
episodes
months?
ago.
How many more months did the two of you continue to live together?
Maybe in another month, if that.
Okay. And during that month, nothing had changed in your relationship with her. You were still good friends, right?
Right.
Oh my god,
By the way,
dude.
that eye surgery, that was to correct your vision, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Who paid for
Jesus
that?
Christ.
I paid for half, and Phil gave me a check for the other half.
So that you could have the surgery, correct?
Right, it was $1,500 per eye. And he paid for half of it.
On that
Sir, you're aware that ma'am, you're aware that they used to put females in the crazy house for having an opinion. Correct? I'm sorry, is that a question? Yeah, that's a question to you. Melissa, you're aware that women have a history of being actual witches.
note, we have reached the,
Witching hour.
well, quitting hour. We're done.
The witching hour, what's happening?
Tomorrow at
Alan
9:30,
Jackson and me are right here, baby.
admonition. The witness is instructed to report back tomorrow at 9:30 and not discuss your case with anyone except the attorneys involved in the case. Thank you. You may step down.
All right, we're rocking and rolling. We got a part 2 of this. Of course we do. And I got some shout outs to do real quick. And a will to show, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody. Whoa, my camera got fucked up on the wheel. I've been going too crazy. My camera got fucked up slightly. Let's see how that is. That doesn't, let's see. A little bit better there. There's the wheel of spins, baby. Got some more names to add on there. I'll be doing that, and once we fill that son of a bitch up, I think we'll probably have it. I don't know. Let's see. Everybody's been coming through this morning. Let's see what's going on. Again, everybody coming through here, please hit the like if you have not. That really helps us out. I got my coffee here. I'm still rocking and rolling, and we still got a while to go. What is this message saying? New managing moderators can support your channel. All right. I'm not sure what that is. But everybody coming through here, let's give some shout outs real quick. Boom! Right here, real quick. Sarah coming through, aspiring court reporter, getting her name on the will. Morning fam, popping in and paying a little, just popping in to pay my, and I literally can't say that word, guys. I know that sounds stupid, but I've even been told the word. Have some family stuff to do this morning, but we'll catch the replay for sure. Love this trial. No, Sarah, love you. Be safe. Thank you very much. Your name's going on the will. Kelly Bobelli coming through here with the $4.99, dropping it into the plate, baby. Let's go. And that, what'd I do? Forgot to put in the music with it. Playing around. You know what I'm saying?
Hold up. Hold
We
up.
also got some
Hold
love
up.
being shown out here by people that have been, what a month now with Kai. Okay, Kai, holy shit, what a month it's been too. You're absolutely been amazing coming through here. Love what you do here, Steve. Just so glad I found you weirdos because I'm just as weird. That's amazing. And we are a little bit different here. I actually paused this show when this one came through because, yeah, here at Publicly Buzzed, we're a little bit different. We're a different thing in true crime. Let's just be honest. And everyone that has come on board has been freaking amazing. We have a really tight, awesome crew here. You know, we're affiliated with some absolute monsters in true crime, strangely. And yeah, I appreciate every one of you and true crime, quite frankly, for letting us meet. Jersey Jen coming through here and getting her name on the will also. I've got this in my hand so I can put the names on the will from when we roll back here. Jersey Jen gifting out a membership. And I think George, I'm not sure if he's still in the chat here, got that one. And I don't remember everybody that got these memberships, but well, thank you so much, Jersey Jen, getting that name on there. And again, anybody that's not familiar with the will, once this fills up completely, which, you know, we got to spin off on Feral Friday, whoever that lands on, and your name can get on there from any type of donation, whether that's through the system here, whether that's gifting out memberships, whether that's doing the coffees or the Venmos or PayPals, however you donate, your name can get on that will. And once that thing fills up, you can pick anything you want from the merch store: shirt, beanie, hat. Yeah, and we also got a new shirt that I need to freaking show off here. Also, we have a new Kool-Aid. I was trying to think of one to do, but hold on, I'm not done. We're still rocking and rolling. Afton then came through here, getting her name on the board this morning as well on the will, gifting out a membership also, and the defense attorney Meow coming through, gifting out one as well. Boom! We're not messing around this morning. And then Hello Spring, boom! Coming through here, $9.99 will of merch, and she got her name on there also. Holy crap! Holy cow! We're not messing around. What?
Respect my house.
Just chilling.
We just chilling today. We just chilling, you know what I'm saying?
Son of a bitch!
All right, so yeah, those names are all going on the board. I think that probably should fill her up. We'll freaking see. Amber's already on there also. But let me show this off. You could literally win this for free. This is brand new merch on top of the new merch that Mandy just dropped for the summer, which is just dank as hell. But also, this right here, folks. I know we got Creepy Phil up here, but Drink the Kool-Aid. And this is the first ever Publicly Buzzed shirt that has a back to it as well. Murder Church Cult. Murder Church Cult. Drink the Kool-Aid. Rocking and rolling, baby. Again, thanks everyone for coming through here. Really freaking appreciate it. I'm going to start filling up this board, and we're going to keep rolling with the second part of this testimony with Melissa Grossferner, as the defense apparently is going to just continue to hammer in that she is a female. But yeah, I mean, the only thing they could find, they found that she is a felon, and they're trying to discount her testimony that matches basically every other female, former girlfriends, and even acquaintances that Phil Spector held them at gunpoint when they wanted to leave the freaking his residence that evening. He wants to hold them captive and sleep with them, sleep next to them, sleep with them, as we heard with one lady, unfortunately, literally, I'm trying to watch my words here. I'm trying not to get demonetized here, but you know what I'm saying. It was absolutely horrendous. The testimony he did at gunpoint, no less. So we're going to keep rocking and rolling again. Thank you guys so freaking much. Appreciate it. Let friends know about Murder Church. I'm going to do another post on X also. Share that out. Let folks know. Love you guys. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Let's go. Let me get you a banner. Boom. Another banner up here.
This court is now in session. The Honorable Larry Paul Fither, Judge presiding.
All right, the parties are present as heretofore. The jurors and alternates are not. Did somebody wish to raise an issue?
Queen Olive coming through here also. Nice. Hell yeah. Queen Olive getting her name on the board as well. And Lacey Ann, who's been awesome in the chat this morning, getting gifted a membership. Welcome in here, everybody. And when we do get memberships gifted, we throw the beers, the liquor drinks, the probably nothings, if you can see what that is. It looks like a mini tornado, but it's not, into the chat. Welcome in, everybody. Thank y'all so much. And Todd, brother, thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that. Rocking and rolling this morning. I see everybody popping in. This is awesome. Patricia's in the house. Kaylin coming through. Good morning. Sorry I missed everybody while I was rolling there for a minute. Welcome in, everybody. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Let's go. We're not messing around. We are here doing it.
I'm telling you like it is, baby.
And we got Judge Diehard right here, ready to go. And everybody get in here. Huh? All the new members?
Welcome to the party, pal. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
I just wanted to ask the court from a timing perspective. The court asked yesterday about Stephanie Jennings.
Yes.
Shit. Caleb, do you know about the will? Pastor Steve is the dankest pastor in the land with $4.99. You just got your name on the will as well. And once we fill this set up, these keep rolling. So anybody that doesn't get on this round, and we'll go in order, will be on the next roll for a spin. So welcome in here, Kaylin. I'll be right back.
Proposed to do, if it's okay with the court,
crazy morning.
Finish up to keep the continuity going with Ms. Grosvenor. Finish up with Ms. Grosvenor, and then take a break, and outside the presence of the jury, make an offer of proof with regard to the tape. And what I think I reviewed yesterday, my notes about Ms. Jennings' testimony. I believe even outside the presence of the jury, I can make an offer of proof as to the foundation and the timing of the messages.
Okay.
Just do that after Ms. Grosvenor.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
All right, ready to proceed? Sure, that's fine. All right, let's bring in the jurors.
We're going to pick up across the...
All right, the record will reflect the presence of the jurors and the alternates. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the slight delay this morning. We got the air conditioning working, but that killed one of the computers. So.
Oh my God!
All right. With that in mind, are we ready to?
I don't even want to leave. This thing's crazy. All right, be right back.
All right, the witness previously sworn and still under oath is again on the stand, and as soon as she is seated, you may resume your cross.
Yesterday, you testified in these proceedings for the very first time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But it was not the first time that you visited the story that you told yesterday. Isn't that true?
That's true.
As a matter of fact, you were prepared by individuals to present your testimony. Isn't that correct?
Well, I told them the story. I don't know if you would say that I was prepared like we were rehearsing it, because we were not. I just told them exactly what happened.
You went over it with them, correct?
Exactly.
Before you testified?
Exactly.
How many times do you think you met with somebody from the government? When I say that, either Mr. Dixon, Mr. Jackson, or law enforcement to discuss your story?
4.
So you reviewed this you had 4 different instances when you met with people, went over your story before you hit the witness stand yesterday. That's a fair statement, isn't it?
That's fair. Sorry.
Now, as I understand it, you spoke the very first time on October 11th, 2004, with Mr. Bennett and Mr. Daly, two Los Angeles County District Attorney investigators, right?
Right.
And they met with you face-to-face, vis-a-vis, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you spoke with them for how long?
I don't remember.
Okay. And you discussed your story and the testimony you gave yesterday with them, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, yesterday you testified to a couple of things. And I want to revisit that with you for a moment, if we may, please, Ms. Grosvenor. You indicated that there was an instant in time when Mr. Spector had a weapon and he pointed it at you. And you testified yesterday that he put this gun,
She's sitting so still. When I came down here, I thought it had frozen. I was like, oh my God.
this handgun, in a holster. You remember that testimony?
Right.
You also testified yesterday that he was walking back and forth in front of you, correct?
Correct.
And you also went and testified that he was screaming and yelling at you. Is that correct?
Correct.
You further testified about two phone calls, one where you actually spoke with him, one where you picked up a message off of your voicemail that retrieved the message on your telephone, correct?
Correct.
I think you indicated that you
Let me start working on
recall
this wheel here.
that one of the things that was said is, quote unquote, I know where you live, right?
Right.
Another thing that you recall is, you know what I can do, quote unquote, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you met with law enforcement, Mr. Daly, Mr. Bennett, before you started talking with them, they explained to you that they wanted you to be truthful with them, correct?
Correct.
And they told you they wanted you to tell them the entire story, everything you could remember, correct?
Correct.
And that was in 2004, a couple 3 years ago, right?
Right.
When you met with them, you never said anything to them about him putting a gun in a holster, did you? Never mentioned it to him, did you? First time it was mentioned was yesterday, correct?
She answered the question.
That's
There's
I'm
good
sorry.
questions there.
Have you ever told anyone at the time you had that interview about the holster?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you're positive of that, correct?
Pretty sure, 'cause that's what happened.
Are you positive of that?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. When you met with Mr. Bennett and Mr. Daly, you did not tell them that Mr. Spector was walking back and forth in front of you with a weapon, did you?
I think I did.
Are you positive?
I don't remember, but I think I did because that is what happened.
When you met with Mr. Daly and Mr. Bennett, you did not tell him that he was screaming at you and yelling at you constantly, did you?
I don't think I said that yesterday either. He was cursing, and I can't repeat what he was saying because I was so upset. But
Okay.
yes, he was rambling on.
That wasn't my question. My question was, are you positive that you told Mr. Daly and Mr. Bennett in your interview with them that he was screaming and yelling at you constantly?
Objection vague constantly means the whole 19 hours, or?
She can answer the question. The objection's overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. You may answer, yes or no.
Well, she doesn't have to answer yes or no either, but you can answer the question.
Are you positive you told him that when you met with him in 2004?
I would assume I did. To say I'm positive right now, I don't remember. I just know I told him the truth.
When you met with him in 2004, you did not tell them about any phone calls wherein you allege that Mr. Spector said, quote, I know where you live, close quote, and quote, you know what I can do, close quote. Did you? You never mentioned that to them, did you?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach? This is improper.
You may resume.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't think we got an answer to the question. Let me rephrase the question. Mrs. Grosvenor, when you met with Mr. Bennett and Mr. Daly in October of 2004, you did not say to them that Mr. Spector spoke the following words, quote, unquote.
Kalen
"Where you
rounded that
live,
wheel out. Thanks, Kalen.
you know
Get a
what I
spin
can do."
today.
You did not tell them that at that time. You spoke it for the first time yesterday in court, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Morning, Bobby. Thank you for coming in here. And
As
thank
I
you
understand from
for
your
hitting that like. I
testimony
really appreciate
yesterday,
that.
You indicated that you came out in 1991 to California, stayed the 19 hours, and then returned to New York. Is that correct?
It wasn't in 91.
When was it?
Late of 92 or early 93.
Do you remember being invited by Mr. Spector to the Rolling Stones 25th anniversary in New York at the Four Seasons Hotel?
I did.
You went as his date, didn't you?
I did.
Got to poll up, guys.
Remember what year that was?
No.
Do you recall that that was the year after this purported incident that you've testified to?
No, it wasn't.
You're sure of that?
I am sure of that.
Okay. After this incident that occurred, and when again did you say this occurred?
Well, it was after my eye surgery, which would have been after November of 92.
Okay. I think you testified that you did see Mr. Spector, is that correct?
I saw him when he came into where I worked.
I'm sorry?
I saw him when he came into where I worked.
So it is your testimony that you never dated him or went out with him
I did
after
not.
that? You have to let me finish my question. We can't talk at the same time. It's very difficult for the reporter, okay?
Now he cares about the court
Is it
reporter.
your testimony that after that incident that you allege occurred, that you saw Mr. Spector, but only when he would come into the restaurant where you were working? Is that right?
That's right.
So it's your testimony that you never were involved with him romantically thereafter, correct?
Correct.
And you never told anyone that you were ever involved with him
Morning, Bonnie. Bonnie.
any
Coming
time.
through
It was
here.
a platonic relationship, correct?
Jackson, Vegas to Todd, or just
He said anytime.
Anytime. You may answer.
It was platonic because we never had intercourse.
Wasn't my question.
Well, what's your
My
question?
question is this. Is it your testimony based on yesterday when you described your relationship with Mr. Spector as being platonic, that you have never
Yo,
told
Charlotte,
anybody,
I got your
including
message.
your sisters, Angela and Kathy,
Freaking excited.
that you had sex with Phil Spector? Is
I
that your
didn't-
testimony?
That is.
How many times do you think you saw Mr. Spector after your trip to Los Angeles?
I'm not sure.
Can you estimate? 10 times, 15 times, 5 times, 30 times?
Probably 10 or so.
And it's your testimony that every one of those were in the restaurant, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is your testimony as to the last time that you saw Phil Spector at the restaurant?
I don't know exactly when the last time was. I just know when I moved from New York.
So you have no recollection today, is that correct?
That's correct.
If I showed you a copy of the raw notes that I don't know if it's Mr. Bennett or Mr. Daly's handwriting, I'm sorry. But if I showed you a copy of the raw notes where there's a notation to that effect from their interview with you, do you think it would assist you in any way in refreshing your memories to when you told them the last time you saw Mr. Spector?
Jackson, no foundation that she needs her memory refreshed.
Sustained, you may ask it in the appropriate fashion.
If I showed you these notes, do you think it might refresh your memory?
Same objection.
Same ruling that she hasn't shown that she needs her memory refreshed. I think that's what you're missing.
Well, maybe I'm missing something. Did you not let me ask it this way. Do you recall the last time that you saw Mr. Spector in the restaurant?
I don't.
Shit, Bonnie.
If I showed you notes...
And just to be clear, I do have a spin ready to happen, so Bonnie will be the first name on the next go-around. So, yeah. Thank you, Bonnie. Gifted out a membership. Hell yeah.
Refresh your memory.
Love it. Insane morning.
Somebody-
Todd grabs
I
that
think
son of a
what counsel was
bitch.
asking
Oh, yeah.
is if you saw
I'll
someone's
shout all that out on break. Thank you, guys.
notes of an interview with you, might it help you recall the date or about the date of the last time you saw Mr.
Crazy.
Spector in the restaurant?
Growing the church, baby. That's what I like to
Someone else's
see.
report of an interview with you help you.
Your Honor, it's not really a report as well.
Well, raw notes. I mean, if you see someone else's date on notes or their interpretation or their recollection of what you said, is that going to help you in any way?
Sure.
All right, you may approach.
Actually, it is in the official report, so I'll bring that.
All right. When that's brought up to you, just read it to yourself. Counsel may point out something to you and see if that assists you. If it doesn't, let us know. If it does, you can tell us that as well.
May I, Your Honor?
You may.
Start waking up early enough to make some breakfast
Direct your attention to a
burritos.
two-page report
Live
dated
breakfast
October
burritos
20th,
in Murder
2004.
Church.
The last paragraph on page 2, I'm going to ask you just to read it to yourself as the judges instruct you. Just the last sentence, just read it to yourself. Have you completed that?
I did.
Okay. Does that refresh your memory so that you can now tell us when it was the last time that you saw Mr. Spector? According to this interview report?
It says June of '93.
Objection, motion to strike. That's not what was asked.
Sustained. The question is, having seen that, does that refresh your recollection? I realize there's a date contained there, but does it refresh your recollection?
It really doesn't.
Okay, that answers the question. The answer is stricken about June of '93. You may ask your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. You indicated that, as I understand it, Mr. Spector moved from one hotel to the Waldorf Astoria at some point. Do you remember that testimony?
Right.
Do you recall which hotel he moved from?
I don't.
Do you recall whether or not it was the Ritz-Carlton?
It may have been.
Okay. And were you aware of the fact that Mr. Spector had had a long-standing relationship with the management at the Waldorf Astoria when he moved there?
I was not aware of that.
Did you know whether or not that he was a welcome guest there and that arrangements had been made long in advance for him to move there? If you don't, you don't.
The objection is sustained. It's argumentative.
Now, as I understand it, your testimony is that your relationship with Mr. Spector ended somewhere in 1992, 1993. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it did not end in 1998. Is that right?
Right.
And you never told anybody that you were dating him up until 1998, including your two sisters, Kathy and Angela, correct?
That is correct.
As I understand it, you got married in 1998, didn't you?
I did.
And that was to Mr. Grosvenor?
Yes.
Okay. In the end of, not the end, but towards the end, the fall of the year 2004, specifically October 11th of 2004, do you recall calling your sister Angela and talking to her on the phone?
It sounds like it's foundational.
It is.
If she's able to answer it at all, because I don't know that she can, but we'll have the witness answer.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Do you recall telling her on or about October 11th of 2004 that you had been interviewed by two Los Angeles District Attorney investigators regarding Phil Spector threatening you with a gun?
I probably did.
Do you remember telling your sister Angela that you were going to testify in this court and you were going to be on court TV?
No, I never said that.
Never said that, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall in a phone conversation with your sister Angela telling Angela the following: if you testify in the Phil Spector case against me, they're going to put you in jail?
This improper impeachment is hearsay. There's no foundation for it.
First of all, why don't you approach the bench and we'll see where you're trying to go.
Uh-oh. Got an approach.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Okay. Mrs. Grosvenor, I was asked.
He's got to get in his groove.
Question. Did you have a conversation, a phone conversation with your sister Angela, where you made the following statement? Quote, you told them about the bank embezzlement and the plaque I stole from the judge's home. Did you make that statement to your sister Angela and or Kathy?
Give us a time, sustained.
Okay. it's either April or May of this year, I'm not sure. In April or May of this year, in a telephone conversation with Kathy and/or Angela, did you make the following statement over the phone? Quote, "You told them about the bank embezzlement and the plaque I stole from the judge's home," close quote.
No, that's not what I said. I can tell you what I said.
I didn't ask you that. Did you mention?
Objection, she answered the question.
No, you can ask that on redirect. The answer is, that's not what I said, which is the appropriate answer, and if you want to go into it, you may proceed.
Thank you. In somewhat different language, did you tell in this conversation on the phone to either Kathy or Angela that they told them, referring to the defense team, about your bank embezzlement and the plaque that you stole from the judge's home?
No.
You did steal a plaque from a judge's home in
No.
Georgia, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You're absolutely sure you didn't do that?
I am sure.
Objection, asked and answered.
We're done. You may proceed on to your next question.
Did you ever say in April or May of this year to either your sister Angela or your sister Kathy, if you testify against me?
Objection compound. You got two people here.
Well, because I believe that there's a question of who this may have been said to, so with that understanding,
Correct.
one or the other, the
Thank
witness
you,
can
Your
answer that.
Thank you, Your Honor. I repeat, in a phone conversation in April or early May of this year, did you tell either Angela and Kathy, or maybe both of them if they were on the phone, quote, "If you testify against me, they're going to put you in jail," close quote?
She wouldn't be testifying
Don't like
against
to
me.
block
I'm not
the
on
witness.
trial. And what I
I
said
didn't
is
ask
that you're
you.
lying. My
didn't ask
sister's
you.
a drug addict.
I didn't
and
ask
she's
you.
got a vendetta
Your Honor,
against me.
I'm gonna-
Just a second, ma'am.
Well-
Hold on. The jury's admonished to disregard that.
Uh-oh.
That's stricken. If you didn't make that statement, just tell the attorney that. You may ask the question again.
Thank you, Your Honor. In a phone conversation in April or May of the year 2007, did you make the statement to either Angela or Kathy, your two sisters, the following, quote, "If you testify against me, they're going to put you in jail," close quote? Did you make that statement to them?
I told her if she lied under oath, then she would go to jail.
Did you make that statement to them?
Not like that, no.
Never not creep me out.
Did you, in this same conversation,
It's too damn perfect.
tell either Kathy or Angela, your two sisters, that
Compound, it can't be the same conversation.
bastard.
Two different people we're talking about.
Well, it's possible that both were on the line.
Thank you.
Ask the question a little more carefully. I
Okay.
think it's been made clear that there's some question about any possible statement as to who it was made to, being one, the other, or both of the sisters. So that'll be the understanding. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Okay, with that understanding, did you ever, in April or May of this year, in a phone conversation, state to either Angela and or Kathy, or both, quote, "I don't want to testify," close quote? Did you make that statement?
I did.
I'm looking at that
On
now,
April
Mandy, that
28th
article
of
you
this
sent.
year, did you call Kathy's home and leave a blistering message threatening her?
Objection.
The term blistering,
Okay,
sustained.
did you leave a message threatening her?
No.
You know what the Masters Golf Tournament is?
I do.
You've attended it, haven't you?
Well, I grew up in Augusta. Yes, I have.
Well, you may have grown up there. In 2004, you were in Georgia, weren't you, for the Masters?
Not for the Masters, but I was in Georgia visiting my family.
And court's indulgence for just a quick moment, please.
All right.
You know Judge Carlisle, C-A-R-L-Y-L-E, and his...
This has been asked and answered directly.
The objection is overruled.
Do you know Judge Carlisle, C-A-R-L-Y-L-E, and his wife Shara, S-H-A-R-A, Overstreet, O-V-E-R-S-T-R-E-E-T, who own a home in the area? Do you know them?
No, I don't.
Have you ever been to their home?
Not to my knowledge.
In 2004, when was the Masters played? I'm not a golfer, so I don't know what time of year it is.
First full week of April.
Do you recall participating in any activities surrounding the golf tournament that occurred in the first week of April in 2004?
Going out to dinner and seeing some friends that were in town for the Masters, yes.
Do you recall going to a judge's house, a judge in Richmond County, Georgia?
I don't know that judge, so I don't know if I was at his house or not.
Okay. Do you recall going to a house that had an office-type room in it with a desk where there was a plaque 5 inches by 8 inches sitting on an easel on the desk that said the following: attitude is everything?
No.
Morning, Irene. Welcome in here.
You did not take that plaque?
Yes, sir.
Is it your testimony that you have never admitted to anyone?
Objection. This has been asked and answered at this point.
That has been asked and answered. The objection is sustained.
You don't know the Overstreets?
I do not.
Objection. Asked and answered. He's already asked this.
The answer was no. It'll stand.
Thank you.
What is your very best estimate or recollection as to when your relationship with Philip Spector finally ended? 92 or 93?
Probably early 93.
When you say early 93, we're talking January, February, that time period?
Right, January, February, March.
You described a purported alleged incident that occurred here in California. Let me ask you something. Mr. Spector never had you hold a weapon, did he?
He did not.
He never forced you to hold a weapon, did he?
No, he didn't.
He never asked you to hold a weapon along with him, correct?
Correct.
He never had you touch a weapon, did he?
No, he didn't.
He never instructed you to place a weapon into your mouth, did he?
If he had, I would have, because I would have done anything he told
No,
me,
I didn't ask you
pointing
that.
the gun at me.
Move to strike, Your Honor.
It's stricken. It's non-responsive. The jury's admonished. You may proceed.
Thank you. I'll ask you the question again. He never asked you to take a gun and put it in your mouth, did he?
No, he didn't.
And he never put a gun in your mouth, did he?
No, he didn't.
This weapon that you allege he had that day, you don't even know if it was loaded, do you? I'm not asking you what you assume. You don't know if it was loaded. You never inspected the weapon, did you?
No, I didn't.
And finally, the weapon, of course, was never discharged that day, was it?
I wouldn't be sitting here if it was.
It was never discharged, was it?
I'm sitting here.
I think you've answered the question. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. You weren't going to take a chance on whether it was loaded or not, were you?
No, I wasn't.
And if Mr. Spector did ask you to open your mouth on the gun, would you have done that when he was pointing what you thought was a loaded gun at you?
Yes, I would have.
You were scared to death. Isn't that fair?
I was very scared.
Now, Mr. Rosen asked you a number of times, when did this relationship end? Do you recall that?
I do.
Did it end when he pointed the gun in your face?
That's exactly when it ended.
And in fact, within hours, you went back to New York, correct?
Yes, sir.
That was the only thing on your mind, is to get away from him and get back to New York, to your home.
That's right.
He also asked you if you told somebody in the past that you didn't want to come testify. Isn't that right?
That's right.
That was a true statement.
That's true.
You didn't volunteer to come here and testify.
No, I didn't.
It was because those DA investigators knocked on your door and talked to you, and right?
Objection, Your Honor. It's been asked.
Overruled.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then you got a subpoena.
That's right.
You didn't want to have to face this.
I did not.
You were asked a number of questions about Angela. Who is Angela?
One of my sisters.
What's your relationship with her?
Now, I'm sorry.
The question is, what is your relationship with her now? I believe you had it. Now was the last word.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
We don't have a relationship now because she's a drug addict that I've tried to help.
Object to this.
The question was, we don't have a relationship now. Right now, that will be the answer. The rest is stricken. The jury is admonished.
Why don't you have a relationship now?
Objection, relevancy.
I'm going to allow it.
You can answer.
Well, because she's a drug addict and I've tried to help her, put her in rehab. She wouldn't stay in rehab. And I've stopped giving her money. So she is mad at me for that. And I think she's getting money now from Spector. And that's why she's doing this against me.
Yeah, Mandy sent me an article about
But
this.
at least from what you know,
From 2007.
she's repeatedly asked you for money, and you...
I've cut her off.
And she's angry about that.
Well,
Yes, sir.
Wait, she's angry about that?
I think the witness is capable of offering an opinion on that. That's an objection. It's overruled.
And she's expressed that anger to you?
She has.
Lastly, Mr. Rosen asked you a number of questions about what you did or did not say to Brian Bennett and the other DA investigator. Based on, let me withdraw that and ask you this. Do you have a clear recollection of that morning in Phil Spector's home after you said, "I want to go home," and he pointed the gun in your face?
I do.
Vivid recollection?
I do have a very vivid recollection.
Was he yelling at you?
He was.
Profanities?
Your Honor, objection has been asked to answer.
No, but however you went into it in your cross, and the district attorney is allowed to go back into it and redirect. You may proceed. It's overruled.
Do you have any doubt that he was pointing a gun just inches from your head, yelling profanities at you and telling you if you moved, he would kill you? Is there any doubt about that in your mind?
There's no doubt.
And that you were sobbing and crying and very upset?
That's correct.
And that he had a shoulder holster with him and eventually put the gun in the holster and tapped on it and continued to yell at you?
That's correct.
No doubt that that happened.
There's no doubt.
And that's when your relationship ended. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Recross.
Thank you.
I was like, are they going to trade off? Yeah,
Mr.
Pammy,
Dixon
thank you
just
so
asked
much for that $10
some
on the
questions
Cash
about
App.
the
That's
fact you're here
crazy.
Because you're subpoenaed to be here, correct?
Correct.
And we've pretty much fixed the date that your first conversation with law enforcement was with Mr. Daly and Mr. Bennett, two Los Angeles County District Attorney investigators that occurred in October of 2004, correct?
Correct.
This incident occurred in '92, is that right?
End of 92 or early 93.
So from the end of 1992 or the beginning of 1993
Right.
till October of 2004, over a decade, over 10 years, you never spoke to anybody in law enforcement about this, did you?
No, I didn't.
You indicated that you've distanced yourself from your sister Angela because she's a drug addict, correct?
Correct.
Well, you've used cocaine with her in the past, haven't you?
No, I have not.
I'm sorry.
Is your testimony that you never used cocaine with Angela or Kathy?
Answered at this point. She answered it.
I said Angela or Kathy.
If you're changing the question is, have you ever used cocaine with Kathy?
No.
And you're not now and never have been a drug addict.
Oh, the sound got a little crunchy. Sorry about that. Thanks, Wildside. Fix that real quick.
Addict, particularly.
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you.
It does sound like fajitas.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Subject to recall, you're excused. You're admonished not to discuss your testimony with anyone except counsel present in the courtroom or their representatives. You may step down, and thank you for being here. Do you have another witness?
Your Honor, at this time, this may be a good time to address the matter that I brought up to the court outside the presence of the jury.
All right, you want to take a want the jurors to go back in the jury room?
Well, that's up to you.
Well, I'd prefer that. Not that I don't want to see them. Ladies and gentlemen, keeping in mind the admonition, I get you ready. Next week is Juror Appreciation Week. Get excited. Let the excitement begin. And with that,
Judge
in mind, if you would
Diehard,
step
the
down,
best
Juror
judge
will
in the
call you.
land. All right, baby. So we get ready to go in. I got to do a few things here. Going into the Stephanie Jennings tape. The jurors here, voicemails left by, oh God, and anybody that heard the last voicemails by Spector, we were in for it. Left by Phil Spector for Stephanie Jennings. So we're going to go down another insane rabbit hole right now. But first, we're going to spin the wheel, baby. I got to put the wheel in its place. Everybody that's coming through here this morning with the donations, absolutely madness. I've also got some Patreon folks here. Holy crap. Shiraz coming through, joining up on Patreon, as well as Sherry over on Patreon. Thank you so much. Catherine Helper coming through here, giving $14.20 through the Cash App, saying for the winner chicken dinner, add me to the wheel. You are going to be added. You will be on the next go around for the spin. And then Pam Coogan, Pammy coming through here for keeping YouTube sticky fingers out of it. Sending 10 directly to me. And anybody that does send any donations that way, it's really appreciated. But any kind of things like that is crazy. Let me get the wheel over here real quick. Give me 1 second. Shit, knocked over my light. Give me 1 second. See what it looks like here real quick. Let's see what the wheel's looking like. Oh, wrong one. There it is. Okay. Hopefully that's... I write horribly. But we're going to spin this son of a bitch, baby. And I got to get some sound effects or some music for when we're on the wheel. That'll be coming. But let's rock. Let's see who's going to win the first piece of merch this morning here on Murder Church. Let's go. Hit the table. Hold on. Oh, shit. I got it tightened. Hold on. Let me tighten it up real quick. Just a little bit. Here we go. Here we go. Afton winning that son of a bitch. That wasn't the best spin. I got a crazy spin out of it Friday. But Afton is going to win the first piece of merch here this morning. Right here on Murder Church. That's awesome. Hell yeah. First of all, I'll get the link in the chat. So, Afton, you can actually pick anything you want from the Murder Church merch store. First of all, let me just get the link in here. And yeah. Including the new shirt that I was showing off earlier, which is fucking craziness. Boom. Afton winning that son of a bitch. Get it, baby. Get it, baby. And then yeah, all the new folks that come through here and anything we'll send through, I'll get you on the next go around for the next spin. And but yeah, I'm thinking about putting maybe the Publicly Buzzed neon light over there behind it, and getting like a whole situation set up, maybe a little bit closer to me because I'm kind of having to reach across here. And but hell yeah, we'll get her going, baby. Thank you all so fucking much, and let's keep rolling here on Murder Church. I'm interested to hear these tapes. This one's only 13 minutes long, so we'll keep rolling. And anybody that did not hit the like, please hit the like, share out on X, hit the shares, and let's rock and roll. Afton, get at me either through publiclybuzzed@gmail.com or through Twitter X if you're on there, messaging on there. Either way, I'll get your information and let me know what piece of merch you want or anything in there, anything on the store you want.
The jury room, Mr. Jackson?
Your Honor, very simply, I don't want to belabor the point.
Okay.
Yesterday we talked about playing the tape that has two phone messages from Philip Spector to Stephanie Jennings. I went back yesterday afternoon after we visited in the late afternoon, and none of us could quite remember what her testimony was concerning the tape, etc. I went back, looked at my notes, and very detailed. I did ask her specifically, after the 1996 invitation to his birthday party, did Philip Spector, well, I asked, did you attend the birthday party? No, I didn't.
Action Jackson's starting us off here, baby. Let me change a couple of things here. The witness name and the banner.
Okay, that'd be great.
It was in the afternoon session, you believe?
You know what? I can't
All right, that's all right. It was during your examination?
One
Or
second.
redirect?
Well, actually, we don't need a witness name right now because we're listening
Okay.
to some tapes.
Just a second.
Boom.
I think you're looking for 2203, page
I was
22.
just looking at 2202 and 2203. I think
Okay.
that's it.
All right.
Where are we, 2202?
If you look at 2203, you'll get right to the
It's
point.
right to the point, right. As a matter of fact, from line 11 to line 14, she specifies what her recollection of the messages were in relation to that.
All right. I want to look at the cross as well for a second. It'll help me. All right, you may proceed, Mr. Jackson, with your argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sorry, very simply, to kind of echo what I indicated yesterday, these phone messages go directly to corroborate her statements that she did, in fact, receive an invitation to the birthday party, that she did, in fact, stand him up, and that he then changed into a different person. As a matter of fact, I think her words were that he had a tendency to change into a different Phil.
Yo, RX Girl, welcome in
The
here.
defense has consistently put into issue and did with their cross-examination of Ms. Jennings, the
Yeah,
defendant's
Bonnie Bailey,
character,
your name's
his
on the
demeanor,
wheel here for
the
that
fact
gifted
that
membership
he,
earlier.
Was a kind, gentle
So much?
soul. He treated her well. He treated her with respect. She then talks about the other Phil when he snapped in the Carlisle Hotel incident, pulled a gun on her, when he snapped when she didn't show up at his birthday party, and this is corroborative evidence of that. Again,
Get those
to echo
Cash
what I
App
said
donations
yesterday,
on here
I
also,
think
guys.
It perpetrates a fraud on the jury to leave them with the impression that Phil Spector is this nice guy who sends little cartoons of baby raccoons to the women that he dates, pulls out chairs, gives them drivers, buys them dinner, leaves big tips. Without
And for joining Patreon, I'm also going to put Shiraz and Sherry on here also. Just for getting on the Patreon. I really fucking appreciate that, guys.
Corroborating what these women are actually saying, which is there are two sides to this man. This man has a public persona, if you will, and then when in private, when he doesn't get his way, when he turns petulant, he turns into a different person. And this is absolutely corroborative of her statements, Stephanie Jennings' statements, that in fact, pursuant to the stand-up, if you will, pursuant to the jilt that he felt, he left her these messages on the phone. I think that's why it's relevant.
Thank you. Mr. Rosen?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm looking at my notes, which may or may not be as good as Mr. Jackson's notes. And I'm looking at the testimony on page 2203 that the court directed me to. I still have the same exact problems with these that we had before. First of all, as I understand it, the incident that she testified to, the alleged incident, occurs in January of '95. We have two separate calls. Maybe I'm missing something here, but the only way I can pinpoint those calls, as I showed the court, the date in the call before, which was a call from the assistant.
Oh, yeah, thanks, guys.
Pinpointing it December 24th, which would precede this. So I don't think you've got the foundation, as I've said.
Well, the calls authenticate themselves because of the content. The witness has testified as to what was said. The call is exactly that.
If I may.
All right.
I think that there is another reasonable possibility here.
Okay.
Other than that it authenticates the call, because we don't know that it authenticates the call. We don't know that the language used in those two calls references back to the incident that occurred or allegedly occurred on January of '95. Okay. One moment.
Yes.
The problem you have here, Judge, is
Late's better than never, RX Girl.
there's kind of a hyperleap here over a very wide chasm, which is A, the government's theory is this incident occurred. B, we've got two tape messages, and the content, the subject matter of those messages relate back to the incident. There's a period of time to think that they have proven or shown that it does relate to that.
The calls don't relate to the incident at the Carlisle. They relate to this. Is that correct? It relates to the birthday conversation, which the witness testified to. It's not being offered that the people aren't contending that Mr. Spector made these calls in relationship to what the witness testified to at the Carlisle. What they're talking
My
about
writing
is
is
the
trash.
post-relationship.
Not good.
Which has been raised between Mr. Spector and Miss Jennings. And
Let's hear the tapes, baby. It's going to get weird.
Pointed out, and I was
Blair, what's
looking at your
up?
cross-examination, although you didn't go very far. You talked about the last time they had contact. This would be, your cross would be 2244. Okay, starting with line 12. I believe that's the incident that the witness testified to. Is that correct? If I'm wrong, please tell me.
Yeah, no, I think you're correct.
Okay. She testified during, yes?
So you're referencing 11 through 22, 23.
Yes. And then we go back to her testimony on direct, and I gave you the page, which was, do you recall that page number? When she describes the...
2203.
2203, thank you. And let me just read you what she testified to.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I've read 2203.
And those calls are completely consistent with her testimony. So go ahead and make your argument there. This is what the calls go to. You're self-authenticating.
I understand. We still contend that they should be admissible on 352 balancing grounds, probative value versus prejudicial effect. Secondly, if the court is disinclined to embrace the defense position on this, then I'm going to ask the court to give a limiting instruction before they're played to the jury indicating
Wildside
that
posted these in the
not
Discord.
relate to the Carlisle incident, but relate to the fact, as I think was brought out, that she stood him up for his birthday party.
I have no
AI,
everyone's in
Phil
agreement that you're
Spector's.
not talking about the Carlisle.
Did pretty damn
incident. I'll
good.
tell the jury that, but there's lots of things that can be argued. I'm just going to, my limiting instruction would go that these are about...
If you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord. Let me put
testimony
that link
she
in
gave
here.
Concerning this invitation that she got and when she didn't show up. Right. That's not a problem. All
I
right.
have no problem with that.
I've considered your 352 objection, and clearly the language is very strong. However,
Angelina, welcome in here. You got a little bit of catching up to do, but it shouldn't be too bad.
cross-examination attacked her credibility, generally. The nature of this post-incident relationship is also at issue, and it corroborates her general credibility, because basically she's testified to an event that the tapes now absolutely corroborate. So for all of those reasons, and considering 352, I find that the probative value...
So the judge's name is Larry Paul Fiddler, a.k.a. Judge Die Hard, a.k.a. Judge Bruce Willis, a.k.a. my favorite judge.
...outweighs its prejudicial value in this particular case, and I will allow the people to play those tapes. All right, and I will give
Give us the
instruction
tapes,
of what it
baby.
references, and the jury will be told that.
I would ask the court if the court would be inclined to give the
I would
limiting instruction before...
bitch a little bit further to the court.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Your Honor, I have a set of transcripts. I think
Get
I
in
have
here,
enough.
Afton.
I've handed them
Get
to
in the
several
Discord.
cases.
Love it.
Let me count them real quick. And
You go ahead and do that. We'll take about another 5 minutes, because when the jurors come back, we're going to go straight through till noon, assuming we have witnesses.
Yes,
All right,
Judge.
we'll be in a brief recess.
Thank you.
Back on the record, defendant's present with his counsel. The district attorneys
Let's go,
are
guys.
present.
Let's
the jurors
roll.
and alternates are present. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, before we call our next witness, as a matter of housekeeping, I'd like to play a tape of two messages. I believe the court was going to...
Queen Olive
Yes.
just jumped in the
Ladies and
Discord.
gentlemen,
Welcome in,
the
everybody.
conversations that are going to be played for you relate to the
Try
following
to keep the conversation
testimony.
rolling in there. That's what I try to
Witness
do.
Stephanie Jennings, as you may recall,
Help me out
if
with
you
that.
don't, I'll remind you, testified that after the incident
Love it.
in the
It's
Carlisle,
been growing, though.
sometime
I've been
later,
digging the
she
Discord.
testified to being invited to a certain party by Mr. Spector and then not going. And these conversations relate to that party. It took place after the incident at the Carlisle. It does not describe the incident in the Carlisle. It's about this other matter, and counsel will argue to you at a later time as to what they believe the importance of these conversations are. All right? Mr. Rosen? Yes? Yes?
May I go?
Yes. You have transcripts that you wish to mark?
I do.
Your next in order would be 7.
I've handed Wendy the one that We'll
Okay.
actually mark as People's Exhibit, and I'll go ahead and publish the copies
All right.
to the jurors.
Yes.
Maybe have our assistant take the witness stand just to play the tape. We tested this while you were gone, and we think that one works better.
That's fine. She won't be cross-examined.
I was going to say, it's our only chance to cross-examine.
All right.
We've been trying for years.
It's your witness, Mr. Jackson. It wouldn't be your cross, it would be mine.
Fair enough.
No questions.
Okay. What about, do you want to mark the tape or CD itself?
Your Honor, however you would like to mark it, if you can next in order, People's 8.
All right.
Thank you. It's a cassette tape.
Thank you.
The transcript is 7. This is going to be 8.
Your Honor, are you going to mark the transcripts on this? Even though they'll be collected afterwards, are they going to?
We only mark one. We mark people 7. Yes. That's 7 is the transcript, 8 is the cassette
8
tape.
is the tape.
Yes.
I'm sorry, this
It's okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Counsel, everybody has a copy of the transcript?
Let's hear the damn tapes!
Sure.
Is it going to be on the next video we get the tapes?
No, take it.
Lord.
We'll share.
It's so hot whenever you're ready.
Jennings, I fucking transferred your messages. You got 7 of them, okay? Count them when you fucking call in. You're a fucking asshole. You never fucking was in New York. You never fucking showed up. And I'm fucking be calling you 16 fucking times. Or fucking somebody else. Go fuck yourself, Jennings.
How many times can you use the word fuck? Wow.
Last time I'm gonna say it, I picked up all your 7 fucking messages now, and I'll do every fucking thing in my power to make sure you don't work anymore in Philadelphia. In any event, it was really nice knowing you, but you're a fucking asshole and you're a fucking lying cunt. So don't fuck with me, because you can get fucked around with if you do. Never shovel it with a shovel, kid, because I'll fucking put you out of business. I'm gonna try real hard to do so, and I guarantee you I will. You know who this is. Trust me. I'm that good at what I do. Goodbye, kid. Go fuck yourself.
Always sounds like a threat with them.
Okay.
With that, Your Honor, we would we're finished with the tape and the transcript. I'll collect the transcripts.
Thank you.
Tape, transcript, and we'll call our next witness as soon as I gather everything from the jurors.
All right. Thank you.
Wow. Hopefully we get some more. I thought there was going to be more in that. I don't think so, though. Next, we're getting Romy Davis. I have to go get that name going. Spector's longtime friend, Romy Davis, who had dinner with the defendant the night of Clarkston's death, takes the stand. Wow, this is who was having dinner with him when he met Lana at that restaurant this fateful night. Wow, let's go.
Please state and spell your
As we continue to roll, baby. Let's keep her going.
first and last name
Thanks,
for the
everyone.
record.
My name is Romy Davis, Rommie Davis.
Thank you. If you sit back and pull the microphone underneath your chin, you won't have to lean forward. You may proceed.
Get her
Thank
name
you, Your
here.
Honor. Good morning, Miss Davis.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. I'd like to ask you, do you know Phil Spector?
Yes, I do.
Do you see him here in court?
Yes.
Could you point to him just for the record and tell the judge what he's now wearing?
Brown shirt and little ascot scarf.
Indicating Mr. Spector for the record.
Thank you. When did you first meet Phil Spector? Long time ago?
Long time ago, we went to high school together.
Okay.
Oh.
We're here in Los Angeles?
Fairfax High School here in L.A.
All right. And after high school, did you go your separate ways?
Pretty much.
Did there come a time in 2002 when you met up again?
Actually, we had frequent reunions, and he did show up at many of the reunions over the years. During those events, I didn't ever have an opportunity to speak with him. He was always surrounded by fans and admirers. And so I did see him on those occasions, but we didn't really speak. It wasn't until the year 2002 that we actually spoke at the reunion.
And the reunions you were talking about were Fairfax High School reunions?
Right.
Like all high schools, or I guess most, you have a 10 and a 15 and et cetera.
We had a great class. We had reunions almost every other year.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of parties.
Never go to
We
a
did.
high school reunion.
So in June, it was June of 2002?
Yes.
And at that high school reunion for Fairfax High, you did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Spector again, is that right?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did you resume a friendship?
as a result of that conversation, he had one of the bodyguards that was with him walk over to me and hand me a little note and tell me that Philip would like to invite me to come to dinner, and it was on the note, and to call his assistant and confirm.
And did you accept the note and call the assistant?
I did.
And go out to dinner?
Following week, I did.
And go out to dinner with him?
Yes.
And was that the start of a casual friendship, dating relationship?
It was, yes, it was a friendship, and we would go to dinner.
How would you characterize it, that friendship?
A good friendship. We enjoyed each other's company. I found him very bright.
You enjoyed
and very
this man's
interesting
company. Please expand upon
a
that.
fun person to go to dinner with.
And during the period of time from when you met him in June of 2002 at the Fairfax High School reunion, or you talked with him again, until February of 2003, how often did you see him? How many times a week or a month, or can you characterize it for us?
Maybe once or twice a month, which would mean every few weeks. He went to
All right, I gotta run to the
Europe
bathroom
for a
one more time.
period of
This
time.
coffee's going
I
right
was,
through me. Be right back.
Working a great deal, and my business took me on the road, so I was not always here all the time either. So it was intermittent.
But when you could, or one person called the other, you went out to dinner. Is that fair to say?
Right. He would call, or I would call and say I was back in town, and we would have dinner.
Now, Ms. Davis, I'd like to invite your attention to February 2nd of 2003, a date that I'm sure you recall now.
Yes.
Did you have dinner plans with the defendant, Phil Spector?
Is that Friday night, or which? Is that
No,
Friday
this is Sunday night, Sunday, February 2nd of 2003.
Okay. I had dinner with him Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday night of that weekend.
All three nights that weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Which
that
is very
yes?
unusual, but that's what happened.
Well, we're talking about Sunday night.
Specifically Sunday night.
Okay. Correct?
Yes.
That's what you have in mind?
Right.
We don't need to know exactly where you live, but generally what part of the city did you live in at that time?
I live in Studio City.
And he came and picked you up?
I think he came with a driver, and they picked me up, which was how it usually was when we went out. There would be a driver who would come and pick me up. On some occasions, Philip drove the car.
But on this occasion, Sunday, February 2nd,
He came with a driver.
came to your house in Studio City. Is that correct?
Yes.
About what time do you recall?
No, I would say maybe 7:30-ish, I'm not sure.
And where did you go after that?
We went to Trader Vic's. No, I'm sorry, we went there on Friday night. We went to the Grill in the Alley Sunday.
Your Honor, we have an exhibit we'd like to put up. I'd ask that it be marked as People's 9 for identification. Actually, it's just a little map of the area, and we have a hard copy for Wendy.
So marked.
I'm sorry, again, the exhibit.
People's 9.
I believe that's next in order.
It is
correct?
next in order.
Thank you. We have that up. Well, maybe we'll use the alternative right here. Could I have a moment?
Certainly.
Ms. Davis, can you see that at all up there? It's hard for me to see, so I need to ask you.
Not really well, no.
Okay. Well, it's a map of Los Angeles, and on one end here, as we look at the right side, we see Castle at 1700 Grandview. Do you see that?
Yes.
And at the time that we're talking about, that's where the defendant, Phil Spector, lived, right?
Yes.
And then he picked you up and went to a place called, what, the Grill in Beverly Hills?
The Grill in the Alley, I think they call it.
And so if he picked you up around 7:30, maybe you got there around 8 o'clock for dinner, is that correct?
I'm estimating, but that would be reasonable. Yes.
And do you recall what you had and what he had for dinner?
No, I don't remember what we had for dinner.
Would it refresh your memory to look at the receipt? Do you think that helped?
If you want me to, I can. I have no
Should be
idea.
had to use the bathroom also.
Your Honors, our next exhibit we have, and I have a hard copy here, a receipt from the grill on the alley, and may that be marked as People's 10 for identification.
So marked.
That's a little hard to see too, isn't it? Can we blow that up? Yeah. One moment, please.
Yes.
I just want to make sure.
Do you recall whether or not during dinner you had anything to drink?
Go, baby.
I don't drink, and I don't think I had anything to drink that night, but I think Philip had a drink.
You don't say.
What is your best recollection that he had to drink? Or if you're not sure, we'll try to refresh your recollection.
Philip had...
Sounds about right,
I think,
Grant's
2 drinks
pants.
that
Welcome in
night.
here.
Do you recall what they were?
Daiquiris.
Okay, so he had a couple daiquiris.
I can go inside
There
of
we see,
the
this is a
I can actually go inside of the
Miss
comment.
Davis we have up here on the screen.
The ginger ale sounds like me.
The ginger ale sounds like you. How about the
Yes.
Diet Coke?
No, that might have been Philip.
Okay, and then we see a daiquiri. I think I can't tell whether there's 1 or 2 up there, but your recollection is he may have had 2
Denise,
daiquiris. Is that
welcome
correct?
in here.
Yes.
Good morning.
And how about for dinner? I think you said you weren't sure, but maybe prime rib, something like that?
I don't think I was prime rib.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, well, we see 2 prime ribs up there,
Okay.
but if you don't recall, that's fine.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
So is it
Why
fair
are
to
you
say that
denying
had
having a
pleasant
prime
evening at the
rib?
grill
Let's get to the
alley?
bottom of that.
No.
No.
Do you want me to explain?
You usually had pleasant evenings with the defendant.
I
Is that
was
correct?
concerned about Philip because he was doing something that he had not done ever before, and all the time that I was with him, which was he had
What was that?
alcoholic beverage. Philip did not usually drink when I went out with him.
Prior to this evening, the Sunday, February 2nd, when you'd gone out to dinner during the period of time we talked about, you're saying that he hadn't drank.
The alcohol consumption appeared for the first time Friday night, and it occurred again Saturday and then on Sunday.
2
Prior to
months,
that,
holy
he
shit,
did not
Megan.
ever
What the
consume alcohol
fuck?
with me.
With you?
That's
Is
amazing.
that yes?
Yes, correct.
And that would have been from the period
Love you
of
so
time
much.
from June of 2002 until the day we're
Family
now
grows,
talking about,
baby.
February 2003. Is that right?
Is that a
Right.
yes, ma'am?
Yes.
The reporter is unable to
I'm
take
sorry.
that. It's okay.
I'll try
Everybody
to
does it,
remember.
and we tell everybody that, so don't worry.
So my earlier question to you, did you have a pleasant evening? You said no, right?
Well, I was very concerned about him.
Did you express that concern?
Yes, because I knew he took certain medication, and I knew that mixing alcohol and medication is a lethal combination, and I was very concerned.
Just generally speaking, not with,
How
in
you get
particular with him, but just everybody kind of knows that.
Split
You
personalities.
take medication, you take
From
alcohol,
Phil
you don't know what's
Spector.
going to happen.
Correct.
Okay. And you were concerned about that?
Yes.
Did you express that concern to Phil Spector that night?
Yes, I did.
Just once or repeatedly?
Probably both times he ordered the drinks.
And what, if any, was his response?
He was not his usual self.
Well, it's responsive, but it needs further
It's way
explanation.
more
When you say
common
he was
than
not
not
his
with
usual
him.
self, what do you mean by that?
I don't remember exactly word for word what he said, but he wasn't interested in what I had to say. Can I explain this?
You may.
I'll ask you another question to try to let you explain it, okay? In the past, when you dated with him, I think you said he was an interesting man.
And all the time I went out with him, he was interesting and great fun and somebody wonderful to talk with. And from time to time, people would stop at the tables where we had dinner, and they would tell him how much they admired him. And it was fun to see all the people that recognized him and came to tell him how they remembered him from their childhood and how much they cared about his work. And then this particular weekend was the first time ever that the behavior was completely and totally different. And it began the first night, and I was very concerned. And he didn't want to hear what I had to say. I said, Philip, please don't drink. You take medication. You shouldn't be mixing this. And he was he didn't hear me.
Prior to that,
Just a second, Mr. Dixon. I'm going to ask you to do something that's probably difficult. I realize in recalling you're doing it the best that you can, but you're speaking very fast.
Oh.
The court reporter has to take down everything that you say. It's very hard for her. So if you can slow it down a bit, I'd appreciate it.
I will. Forgive me.
You may proceed.
Huh?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah. Judge Die Hard. Letting you know.
Thank you,
He was
Your
polite
Honor.
about
So
it.
prior to this weekend,
Slow her down a little
first
bit.
weekend in February of 2003, he'd
a
been
good
a
question,
person,
Shelley.
I think you're telling us, who was receptive to listening to what you had to say and others had to say.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. It's asked and answered.
Overruled.
Is that correct or not?
Would you rephrase the
Okay, I'll
question,
try.
please?
Prior to this weekend that you're telling us about, the Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday,
Right.
when you went out with him,
It's blocking Jackson's face. Everyone's look at him. Baby face Action Jackson.
Yes, he was great. He was a perfectly ordinary, typical person, and he was great company.
And now on this weekend, particularly the Sunday that we're now talking about, because of his drinking, he changed.
Okay, but I would have to say that, for the record, it began Friday night, and it occurred again on Saturday, and so something was terribly wrong.
Okay, everything from it occurred again on Sunday, something that where it starts, the answer started with something was whatever. That's stricken. The jury's admonished to disregard it. You may ask your next question.
Thank you. The subject of Phil Spector's drinking on the Sunday night that we're now talking about, is that something you just brought up once, or did you bring it up repeatedly during the dinner?
I probably brought it up when he was ordering the drinks.
So if he ordered 2 drinks, then maybe 2 times.
Yes.
And was that, to the best you can recall now, the extent of your comments about his drinking, at least on that night?
Probably, yes.
Did you make the same or similar type comments to Phil Spector on the 2 previous nights that you were with him, Saturday and Friday night, when he ordered alcohol?
Yes.
And what was his response to your kind of suggestion that, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this?
Your Honor, it's been asked and answered.
Overruled.
He just didn't agree. He wasn't angry. He just didn't agree and did what he wanted to do.
Now, at some point, your dinner concluded. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And what happened then?
We got ready to go home, and he got the car, and we got in the car and went back, and he dropped me off.
So he got, the car and driver was brought to the restaurant.
Right.
You got into it and were taken back to Studio City, is that correct?
Right. Correct.
And did that conclude at least your evening with Phil Spector on Sunday, February 2nd?
Yes, that was it.
Now, on that night or any of the previous nights that you'd been with Phil Spector since the 2002 Fairfax High reunion, had there ever been any conversation about a gun or a gun permit?
None.
Okay. As far as you knew, he didn't own a gun or didn't have a gun permit?
Never mentioned, never brought up in conversation.
All right. Could I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
You may.
As you've sat there and I've
Or
given
the
you a
90s.
moment, and I'm looking for a note too.
I know what it is.
Hell, probably even
Do
the
you
early
recall
2000s.
anything
Everything's
now
so
you-
different.
About
just
the
keeps
gun.
changing.
The first time he came to my house to pick me up,
It's non-responsive.
I believe it is responsive.
I think so, Your Honor.
The objection is overruled. If it turns out it's not, I'll strike it. You may proceed.
the first time that he drove in the car with me, he said to me very politely right at the beginning when he picked me up that I want you to know that I carry a gun in the trunk of my car, that I keep it for situations where it might be necessary to have it, and I just know that I'm legally responsible for telling you and informing you, so that if you don't want to be in the car with me under those conditions, you have that option, and something like that. And I remember that I had never had an experience like that before with anyone, and I remember feeling impressed that he had advised me of its existence in the trunk of the car, and it was never, ever, ever mentioned again.
And when was this from, if you can tell us at all, from your relationship with him starting in 2002 after the reunion until the Sunday we're now talking about?
That event when he had the gun in the
Yes.
car? It would have been shortly, so it would have been July, probably maybe August, somewhere in then. Because many times he came in the car with the driver, but this was one time when he came alone. First time he ever came to pick me up.
So it was early on.
Just a second, I'm going to ask you again if you can just try to
I
slow
talk
down.
too
I know it's...
I work in television where you have to talk really fast to get it all in, so you have to forgive me.
We'll give you all the time you need, okay? No deadlines, go ahead.
So,
oh shit, Megan, I
Phil
did.
Spector's
Thank you so
comments to
much.
you about the gun and
Yeah,
the
Megan coming through with the Cash App, $10. Thank you very much, Megan. Also getting your name on the wheel for the next spin. Hell yeah, thank you so much. That's freaking amazing. Today's been crazy. Crazy Murder Church. Thank you.
permit. We're early on in the relationship
Yes.
after the high school reunion.
Yes.
Name on the
Thank you very
wheel.
much. Thank you. Nothing further at this time.
Thank you, cross-examination.
Your Honor,
Oh, that's insane, Megan.
No problem.
Good morning.
Oh, God, this guy again. I was hoping we'd get the defense attorney,
Your preference, please,
mob,
in addressing you,
boss,
Mrs. or Ms.?
Cutler.
Miss Davis is fine.
Miss? Okay.
He likes to... God, I hate this guy.
Good morning, Miss Davis, and welcome.
Good morning,
My
thank
God,
you.
dude.
I'm Mr. Rosen. I'm one of Mr. Spector's
Rosen.
lawyers. I'm going to ask you a few questions here, okay?
Hello, Mr. Rosen, thank you.
Okay.
No clue how to
You're-
talk to humans.
You've known Phil for a very long time, haven't you?
High school,
I'm kneeling inside this guy.
And that's Fairfax High School?
Running the
Fairfax High
human
School.
Here in Los Angeles.
here in Los Angeles.
I'm not going
machine.
to tell you where I went to high school because I was one of the rivals in the Western League. I was one of your rivals. But we always lost to you guys.
Thanks, Keystone. Jim's doing good this morning, man.
All right.
Feeling good.
Miss Davis,
Thanks for asking,
I want
dude.
to talk to you a little bit about that evening, okay? February 2nd.
No, love you. No, love you, Megan.
You'll have to answer out loud, not when I'm talking, and I won't talk here, but you must answer out loud when you raise your head up and down or to the side. Cindy, who is an excellent reporter, can't get that down in the machine, okay?
Okay.
All right. I know this is a little new for you, isn't it?
Yes,
Are you a little nervous,
yes,
or are you very nervous?
I would say a little.
Okay. Well, we don't bite here, and just take it easy, take a deep breath, and we'll be fine, okay?
Okay.
Now, as I understand it, you had plans with Mr. Spector for that evening, correct? That Sunday evening?
Yes,
He didn't just drop in out of nowhere. You had prearranged to go to dinner with him.
yes, that's correct.
Did you know where you were going to dinner that evening?
Probably.
Mr. Spector is an individual who likes to frequent the same restaurants, isn't that true? He has a few that are his favorites.
Yes, we all have our comfort zones in restaurants where we feel comfortable, so I would say yes.
Okay. And you felt that you were going to one of those restaurants that evening. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes,
And in fact, you did. You went to the Grill on the Alley, correct?
yes,
And the Grill on the Alley is just what it says. The front door is right on the alley there, isn't it, off of the main street?
exactly.
Okay. And you'd been there before, hadn't you?
Yes, many times.
You'd been there with Phil before,
With
correct?
him and with other people, yes.
Okay. Alone and also with others, correct?
I've been there with others. I've never been there alone.
Okay, when I say alone, I mean, I should have rephrased. You and Phil have gone there previously, and you've also been there with others.
Yes,
All right.
that's correct.
And as I understand it, you arrived there about what time?
I'm not sure. I would say 7:30 would be
Yeah,
reasonable.
no, that's the vibe I'm getting too, Irene.
Somewhere in that vicinity.
And how long were you there for?
I guess a couple of hours. I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah, let me put
So it would be
Megan
your
on
guess
the
that you
wheel
left there
here.
About what time?
I would guess that well, I'll go in reverse. I would guess that I left there probably around 9:30,
9:30. Okay.
or maybe later, a little bit later. I'm not sure. I think maybe 10 o'clock.
Bill's
because
halfway
I think
full
I got home
again.
at around 11:15 that night. So I'm going to say that I think I got home around 10. We must have left there around 10 in order to get me home around 11:15, because they had to call for the car and wait for the valets to bring the car. So I would say that would be approximately what I think. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. That's why I said take a deep breath. Slow down. You're running, we have an expression, you're running Cindy off the boards, which means she can't get it. You're going just too quickly, okay? And that means the jury's not getting it either, and they're the most important ones to hear it, okay? If I suggested to you that the receipt indicates that the receipt was called for at 10:17 p.m., the receipt from the grill, does that sort of put it in context?
That works for me.
Okay. So you got picked up at what time?
7:30, 8 o'clock.
Okay. You were there a good 2 or 3 hours, right? 2.5 hours.
Yes.
Okay. And it was over the 2.5 hours that you recall that Mr. Spector may have had ordered 2 daiquiris, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. We'll talk about that in a second. I just wanted to set the time frame. Okay, so you're at dinner for 2.5 hours, and other than the fact that you were concerned about him mixing alcohol and medication, the rest of the evening was a lovely evening, wasn't it?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
No.
At any time in the middle of that evening, did you get up and leave? You did not, did you?
No, I didn't leave.
Okay. This guy.
Was there anyone else at your table? There was not. It was just you and Phil, correct?
Yes, just the 2 of us.
All right. And during the time that the 2 of you were there, I think you did have dinner, correct?
Yes, we had dinner.
All right. And Mr. Dixon showed you the receipt and asked you about prime rib. I want to ask you about some other things. Do you recall Mr. Spector eating what they call a lobster martini? But it's not a drink. It's lobster in a martini glass. You remember them sending that over to him as a gift?
Oh, okay, I've seen that.
I think that was sent
I'll
over.
try that.
Right.
I remember
strange,
that,
but-
yes.
Okay. And he
You ever
ate
had that in the
correct?
chat?
I think so.
Lobster martini?
You have no recollection, even though the receipt indicates 2
You don't drink
prime rib
anything
dinners
about
were
it?
ordered at $35 each? Actually, $35.
Yes, I think the prime rib dinner is correct.
Okay. And you had one and Phil had the other, correct?
Yes.
And you recall
Feels like
also
a rich person
a
thing.
dessert being ordered, a dessert of apple pie with added ice cream?
Sounds like me.
Okay. You like that dessert, huh?
Ice cream.
Okay, yeah. Who doesn't with a sweet tooth? At any rate, you recall having that and Mr. Spector having dessert along with you?
I don't remember if he had dessert along with me.
So many
but
different
I do
variations
remember
that are
I
popping up
ordered
here.
that.
Okay. He could have, you just don't recall.
I don't recall.
Okay, but he had a full meal.
I like lobster.
I think he may have picked at the meal. He was not himself.
I didn't ask you about how he was. I asked
He
you,
may
did he
have
or
picked at
not?
the meal. They served him a meal.
Okay, they served meal.
Yeah, I'll bring the pictures over that popped up. It's a lot of different ones.
You indicated that, I believe that,
Like some of them just have like kind of the liquid with the claw. Some of them have meat in the glass. It's like a lot of different. This
there
one's
was
like
some alcohol ordered, correct?
I'm talking about the daiquiris. Is that what you're
Yes.
referring to?
Yes. There was some alcohol ordered, correct?
Yes.
As I understand your testimony, you indicated that there were 2 drinks, 2 daiquiris ordered, a ginger ale, which I think you said sounds like me,
That's me.
and a Diet Coke, correct?
Right.
And the Diet Coke, that's Phil.
Yes.
You do not know, as you sit here now, how much of those daiquiris Phil drank that night, do you?
fuck ton.
I
Say
think
it.
I know that he finished the first one. I don't remember about the second one, but I believe that he drank them both.
Okay. Do you recall being interviewed on February 10th, 2003 at about 10:30 in the morning in the presence of your son, Todd Davis, by 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's investigators, Officer Fournier and Officer Tomlin?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember them asking you the question of whether or not you and Mr. Spector had consumed any alcoholic drinks with dinner?
Truth, Irene.
I don't remember them asking me the question.
Okay, Your Honor, with the court's, if I should...
You know he's got a Napoleon
I
complex.
have a copy of the report.
Top of an alcohol issue. Takes medication. And he's probably got a tiny dick also. Let's just be real here, guys. Come on.
Of the interview with you. If I show you this report, might it refresh your memory if you read that particular part?
I don't know. I'll look at it. Pardon?
Would you take a look at it?
Yes, of course.
All right, you may approach.
Neighbor Burns, good morning. Welcome in here. Yo, Jay. Welcome in, brother. Thanks, dude. Yeah, man. I was trying to make it look honestly nicer, like your all streams.
Show her pagination page is 000165.
Dude, happy Father's Day to Jay, first and foremost. Happy Father's Day, brother. Yeah, man. Enjoy your day. Getting ready to head out and hang with the fam now. I love it, dude. Thanks for dropping in here, bro.
66. All right. Okay. We have a procedure in here. It's probably a little different than what you're used to, okay? So I'm going to ask you to just kind of follow my instructions so we do it right together.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to show you the first page, which is page 165, and I'm going to ask you just to read the first paragraph, just to orient yourself to recall that you were interviewed, okay? Just read it to yourself. Don't read it out loud.
And Jay, hold on. Well, I know you're heading out real quick, but I've got multiples. I do want to show those off just real quick. Got a few different ones as well, because he's not changing his wig for us, so I'm making him change the wig. Making him change the wig, that son of a bitch.
All right. And now I'm going to ask you to read.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to any
to
dads
to
hanging out
yourself.
in the chat, maybe
Let me take
lurking
this
back there.
Page 166, and I just want you to read the first two lines of the top paragraph on the page. Have you read that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes, I read it.
Okay. You can't say and that doesn't come out of it.
Sorry.
That's all right. And you now recall that the investigators asked you if you and Mr. Spector had consumed alcoholic drinks with dinner? You do, don't you?
I really don't. I don't remember them asking me the question, and I don't remember my son telling. I know I don't remember.
Okay. Do you have any quarrel that what's reported here and recorded here in this police report is inaccurate in any way?
Well, that would ask her to speculate, Your Honor.
Given her prior answer, I would agree. She's indicated she doesn't have the memory, so the objection is sustained.
So you have no recollection of them asking you that question or you providing an answer that you didn't know?
No, I have no recollection. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you recall telling the officers when they interviewed you that you may have had a glass of Merlot and Mr. Spector may have had a daiquiri to drink with dinner? Do you remember telling them that?
No, I don't remember telling them that.
Do you remember telling the officers that neither you nor Mr. Spector was drunk that Sunday evening?
I don't recall telling them that. I don't recall the whole conversation, but I know that sounds like something I would say.
You weren't drunk that evening, were you?
I've never been drunk in my life.
Just asking you about that evening, okay? You don't want to open that door, all right? You weren't drunk that evening, were you?
Absolutely not.
And Philip was not drunk that evening, was he?
Absolutely not.
At least objection, at least to the extent that she was with him that.
Sustained.
Obviously.
Well, I'll sustain the objection. If you want to re-ask it, you may. If not, you can move along.
Let me, no, ma'am. Yeah, you can't talk unless we pose a question.
Okay.
It's just kind of the rules that are in here. Ms. Davis, you were with Mr. Spector for 2-3 hours that evening, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Once again, he was not drunk, was he?
Oh shit, sound crackling. Let me fix that. Got the fajita sound going. One sec. Boom, boom, boom. We back.
During the time you were with him.
Sorry about that.
I'm having difficulty answering the question. All I can tell you is that, to me, and I'm not an expert in alcoholism, his behavior was not what his behavior had been on other occasions. So therefore, my observation is, yes, he must have been drunk.
Do you remember telling Detective Fournier and Detective Tomlin on February 10th, 2003 at 10:30 in the morning the following? Davis said that neither she nor Spector were drunk Sunday evening. Do you remember making that statement?
Well, I could certainly have said I wasn't.
No, it's not what you assumed.
Well, she needs to be responsive. Do you recall making that statement to the officers when they interviewed you?
No, I don't recall that.
Okay. If I showed it to you in the page of 166, page number 166, might it refresh your memory?
I saw the page, so what can I say?
Well, you didn't read that part. If I showed you this part on the page and asked you to read it, might it refresh your memory? That's all I'm asking you.
Jackson, no foundation that she needs your memory refreshed.
Well, she's indicated she doesn't remember.
I really
saying
don't
that.
remember what I said to them, so I'm trying to help you, but I really don't remember.
That's why I'm asking you, if you look at the report, might it refresh your memory as to what you said?
Okay, I'll look at the report.
You may approach.
Thank you. I'm going to address again your 000166 for the record.
All right.
First paragraph, just take a look at the sentence I'm pointing to where it says Davis and just read it to yourself. Have you read that one sentence?
Yes.
Does that now refresh your memory that you told the two case agents in this case that neither you nor Mr. Spector were drunk Sunday evening?
I think there's a fine line, and because I'm not, I don't know how to answer it. In my opinion, I'm not an expert on alcoholism and what constitutes drunk.
Ms. Davis,
so I answered it that way when they asked me the question.
Ms. Davis, that was your answer, correct?
Obviously.
She just explained why she gave that answer, so that's now.
That's why I said what I said.
All right, the question's been answered. You may ask your next question.
Have you talked to other people in this case on the government side, other than the interview that you gave on February 10th, 2003, before you came here to court today to testify? You did, didn't you? You've been interviewed. Have you been interviewed by Mr. Dixon or Mr. Jackson, these two gentlemen in front of you?
Yes.
How many times?
No, I haven't been interviewed by them.
You've never spoken with Mr. Dixon or Mr. Jackson, these are the two prosecutors in this case, about your testimony? Never.
No, just hello when I met them in the building.
Have you spoken with anybody since February 10th of 2003 and today about your testimony?
To anybody meaning
To
who?
anybody on the government side, anybody in the district attorney's office, anybody in the sheriff's department, anybody in Alhambra PD, anybody in law enforcement?
I don't recall talking to anybody.
You may have, you just don't recall.
I don't recall.
All right, let's talk a little bit further, if we may. You knew that Philip took medication, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that he took medication for various illnesses that he's been diagnosed with by a doctor, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You've seen him take medication?
Yes, I know, yes.
Okay. And as I understand it, you stated you were concerned because of the combination of the alcohol and the medication together, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Would it be a fair statement to say you were concerned about what the combination would do to him physically, correct? You didn't want him to have a heart attack. You didn't want him to wind up having some sort of internal problem where he would wind up having to go to the hospital. Isn't that a fair statement?
Jackson, that's compound.
It is, but I'll allow her to answer it. You may answer.
Yes, but it had dual complications, one what it did to him and what it did to his behavior. So I was concerned in that manner.
Let me ask you something. You were at the grill, which is a public place, correct?
Yes.
You were eating dinner at the grill for a couple of hours, correct?
Yes.
Did nobody from the grill, no employee from the grill, came over to your table other than to serve you food and to attend to you as customers, correct?
Somebody may have stopped by to say something. I don't remember for sure. I think a friend may have stopped by.
Okay, a friend may have stopped by with salutations, correct?
Yes.
No
Yes.
one employed by the girl came over and said, Mr. Spector, you have to leave now. Your conduct is outrageous. Get out of here. Nobody did that.
Absolutely not when I was there.
Well, you were there with him, weren't you? You weren't there with anybody else, right, Miss Davis?
Jackson, there's no need to raise.
You're getting.
Oh, am I? I'm sorry.
I think you need to back down. Thank you.
I went to the ladies' room.
How long were you gone? For a couple of minutes, right?
Right.
Okay. And after you came back from the ladies' room, you sat back down with Philip, correct?
Yes, but
That's all I asked. You never that evening got up during the course of the dinner and left, did you?
no,
You never asked somebody to call the police to come in because of his outrageous conduct, did you?
absolutely no.
Okay. And ultimately, he took you home back to your residence in Studio City over the hill, correct?
Yes.
Two back-to-back comments in the chat just murked me with Charlotte and Mandy. Lord.
Ms. Davis, you were interviewed on February 10th, 2003, correct?
I guess that's correct, yes.
By the way, you didn't know Lana Clarkson, did you?
No, I did not.
Never heard Phil mention her name, did you?
No, I did not.
Never heard him speak about her, did you?
No, I did not.
When you interviewed them, that was when you were interviewed by them, by Mr. Tomlin, by Mr. Fournier. This was approximately a week after the incident involving Ms. Clarkson. Isn't that correct?
I think so. That's reasonable.
And therefore, that Sunday night was much fresher in your mind, correct? It was closer to the evening than it is today, correct?
Yes.
And at that time, they asked you, how did Mr. Spector treat you? And do you recall telling them the following, that he always treated you very nice, he always behaved like a gentleman, and he was a very caring person? Do you recall in that interview describing Phil Spector in that way? Always treated you very nice, always was a gentleman, and always was a very caring person. Yes or no?
That is absolutely correct.
And you told him that, didn't you?
Yes.
When you talked to them, they asked you to be truthful and honest and tell them everything you knew, correct?
Yes.
And you did, correct?
Yes.
Ms. Davis, you did not mention to them anything about being concerned and admonishing Philip because he ordered a drink or two drinks with you and took his medication. You told him nothing about that, did you?
Yes, that's correct.
Never mentioned it to him, did you?
No, I didn't mention it.
It's the first time you're mentioning this is here today in court. Isn't that true?
Yes, that's true.
You cannot sit there and say with any degree of certainty whether or not Philip had any of the second daiquiri that was ordered, right?
Jackson, all you men have been asked and answered.
I'll allow it.
Which you may answer. Is that correct?
I believe he drank some of it. I don't know.
You don't.
As I watched every drop that he drank.
I'm sorry, I didn't finish. What you are, in your mind, sure about is that he did have the first drink, the daiquiri. That you're sure about.
Yes.
And the Diet Coke, you finished that too?
Yes.
Spreading it
So if I understand it correctly,
throughout the nation
the
while it's
only
on.
thing that you can tell us for sure that you're positive about is that over this 2.5-hour period,
It could have
at
been
this
worse,
restaurant,
though. Said some wild shit on here.
you and Philip shared
Especially in
and
relation to true
consumed
crime.
a full meal, and he had one daiquiri and one Diet Coke. That you're certain about, correct?
No, I would say that I saw him drink some of the second drink. I
You
was
don't know
at the
how much.
table. I don't know how much.
Okay. And that's over a 2.5-hour period, correct?
Yes, correct. Reasonable.
Court's indulgence for a moment, please.
Certain?
Phil has a habit, Mr. Spector has a habit, doesn't he, that sometimes he orders more when you go out to eat than is consumed, correct? He likes to try things and taste things, isn't that correct?
Yes.
It's not an uncommon part of going out with Phil when you go to a restaurant. He might order 3, 4, 5 different things, take a little taste and not finish it, correct?
I personally did not see him order 3, 4, 5 things, but so I can't speak to that.
Okay, I'm not talking about that particular evening. I'm talking about any of the evenings you've been out with him.
That did not occur with us.
Okay.
Yeah, Mandy, what the?
You indicated that there was a conversation that occurred regarding Philip indicating to you that there was a gun in the trunk of the vehicle, correct?
Holy shit.
In the very beginning, in the summer.
Oh, yeah, though.
Do you
I
remember
remember
the
what
date
you do, man.
of when he told you that?
No, I couldn't.
Do you remember where you were when he told you that?
Probably a lot of
Driving on
long
the
shifts.
freeway.
Okay. And I think as I understood it,
Enjoy
you
your
thought
free
that was
time.
very kind of him and very nice of him to inform you of that so you would not feel uncomfortable, correct?
Yes.
And he gave you
Had
the
a friend that
option. He
used
said,
to do
"If you're
that. He would do,
uncomfortable
like,
with that, you
crazy,
don't have to ride in the car with me,
like,
correct?
Literal day-long
Yes.
shifts, like
And
it
you
was
thanked
part
him
of
for
how
that,
the
didn't
schedule
you?
Yes.
worked.
And you commented to him how you thought that was very
Seemed insane to me.
gentlemanly of him and very kind of him to inform you of that so that you wouldn't be put in an uncompromising
Yes,
position.
exactly correct.
Ms. Davis, how many times do you think, after you saw him at the Fairfax High reunion, until the last time you went out with him, which I'm assuming was the evening of February 3rd of '03, how many times do you think you had been out with him? Is there any way you can estimate for us?
So we're talking maybe 5 months, and I was out of town sometimes, and he was out of town.
Right.
So maybe 3, 4 times a month, maybe more. I'd have to sit down and really calculate numbers.
Okay, maybe somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 times?
That's reasonable.
Okay. On all those occasions, you never saw him in the possession of a hand weapon, did you?
Never.
And he never threatened you with a hand weapon?
Never.
Okay. Philip is right-handed, isn't he?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. May I have the court's indulgence for a moment,
Yes.
This fucking guy.
please? Ms. Davis, just a couple of other quick questions. Do you recall being interviewed about a month and a half ago by a deputy district attorney named Ocampo and a detective Tomlin?
Yes. Yes, I do.
So you do recall that?
Well, I remember that they interviewed me, yes.
So between the first interview, which was 7 days, it was February 10th, February 11th of 2003, and today, you in fact have been interviewed by another set of
Oh my God,
individuals, a deputy district attorney like Mr. Jackson and
Dude,
Mr.
I
Dixon,
can see
and
it, but
Detective Tomlin, correct?
Yes,
And
that's
that was
correct.
and that was as recently as about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
I feel like it's like a side
Yes,
character,
that's
mom.
Where did they
though.
interview you?
Where?
Yes.
At a restaurant in the neighborhood,
You say the neighborhood in Studio City?
in Studio City.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to know where the restaurant was. And how long was the interview?
30 minutes, 45 minutes.
And in that interview, you adopted everything you told them in the first interview that you had with investigators Fournier and Tomlin, because they
Man,
went over
John,
that with
my
you. You
brain
said,
is
yeah, that's
working
all
so hard
correct.
right now.
There's nothing wrong in there. You said that, didn't you, in the discussions at the restaurant with Mr. Ocampo and Mr. Tomlin, right? I'm asking.
Jeez. I'll allow the question. Is that true or not?
Is what true?
Is it true? Let's
Whoa,
take
two
it
people
and
said-
break the question down. You had an
Two-time mom.
interview
That's
a
not what
month
I'm
and a half
thinking, though.
ago with a deputy district attorney named Ocampo who's
I
working
could see
on the
it.
prosecution team.
That's
with
mine's
Mr.
like
Jackson,
right
Mr.
on
Dixon,
though. The one I'm
and
thinking.
a
Oh shit,
detective
Mandy.
Tomlin, correct?
Yes.
You had this interview at a restaurant in the neighborhood.
Again, fucking nailed it.
Time,
Who's the
they had
boss?
report
Mom's
of the
mom.
interview with you and
Man, mine's
Fournier
like,
and
I swear
Tomlin
mine's
from
fucking
February
perfect.
10th
I
of
can't get there. My brain won't let me.
correct?
Yeah,
I do
Mona
not
from Who's the
remember
Boss.
the
That's a good one
report,
too.
per se.
Both of those are
Do
good
you
actually.
recall
But
them reading from a paper and indicating to you that they were going to go
mine's like
over
not like
the
I'm sorry. Mine is not like a main character though. Mine's like a neighbor or something. Like, fuck. And she's in movies and stuff. It's gonna kill me. I'll get it.
From
Hold
the
on.
interview that you had in 2003 to determine whether it was all correct or not, and you said yes, all of that is correct. You remember that?
Yes.
So my question is, you reaffirmed for them, Mr. Ocampo, Mr. Tomlin, a month and a half ago, that everything that they went over in the original
I
report
can't
was
get
correct.
there.
That's all I'm asking, correct?
Yes, I'll say yes to that.
I don't even know what to Google.
Thank you very much, Mayor. That's all.
Thank you. Redirect.
No, thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
All right, we're about
Subject to
to
recall or your
crush another
attorney's
video
statement
here
being
anyways.
Not to discuss your testimony with anyone except the attorneys.
Thanks
in the
everyone
case.
for hanging out this
All right,
morning.
thank you. You may step down.
Insane morning. Holy
And we'll be
shit.
in recess until 1:30, ladies and gentlemen.
Buzz
The jury,
Nation
keep in
growing
mind
out
the
here.
admonition. We'll see you at 1:30 this afternoon.
All right, let's see where we're going next, just to see. And still, we're at noon. Let's see what we're going into. An hour and a half. Damn, that's a little much. I don't have 2 hours. I can't go into that depth, so we might have to call Murder Church right now, sadly. But that's why we have 2 days now. So Tuesday night, 9 p.m., we will be starting with this one. Waitress Kathy Sullivan, who claims Spector escorted her and a friend to their car while holding a gun, takes a stand. This motherfucker likes to hold women at gunpoint. Like, this is just a regular freaking thing with him. What the fuck, dude? All right. Wow. What an insane morning. That is, again, where we will start up. Everybody that's on board with this one, thank you all so much. Really, really appreciate it. But right here, right at the end, all the love that's come through on the apps here. Catherine came through with the 1420. I just want to get everybody again. Pam came through with the 10. And then Megan Easton came through right at the end there for an awesome community. Thanks, Steve. $10. And you got on the board there as well. And the the wheel is halfway filled up again. We got Bonnie Bailey, Catherine, Pam, Shiraz, Sherry. Those two are for joining the Patreon. And then Megan Easton. And we're getting closer to another spin for some more merch. I got your email, Afton. I'll be getting your shirt out. She picked the Buzzed Mysteries shirt, which was designed by the beautiful Mandy Joe right here. That's the shirt I'm actually rocking on a regular basis now. That's in my regular rotation right now. I haven't got, and then, of course, the Dandy Savage shirt that she did, and then this one as well, the Lightning Bolt. Everybody, a lot of crew members have that one. But I will say, I'm going to have to pick this one right here up. The new one right here. This is the back of the shirt. Murder Church Cult. And I use this thing. I sell through Big Cartel, but I have to do my whatever when I actually make the post through Printable. I think that's Printable. And I've put to where it should be the front. This should be showing first, the front of the shirt, but it won't change. So the front of the shirt is this one right here. And then the back is calling out that we are definitely a cult drinking Kool-Aid. It's happening. Dear God, what's happening out here? Thanks, everybody, though. Let me make sure I didn't miss any more in the old... Oh, I do want to say this one right here. Also, Megan Easton coming through and showing off her 2 months as being a member here. And that's a perfect segue into this right here. Members, let me show this off. Members currently can have 2 really cool things. First of all, I'm posting these on Patreon first. So 1 day early, anytime I post anything like this, will be on Patreon. And then the next day, it will go for members on YouTube. And right here, right now, you can check out two new ones. You can take a look at half of Dan's deck because he killed my camera, which is insane. And then you can also check out Saturday in Tazewell, Virginia with Steve, which was from last Saturday. Both of those videos are up for members only exclusively. And I'm going to be doing more content like that. And anybody that's following me on X, on Twitter, should realize all the spaced out Cookboy stuff I'm posting from about 4 years ago, I'm going to at least try to put together 1 meal a week that I'm going to cook, film, and put together for Patreon and members exclusively. That will not just be, clips may come out, but the full segments will only be for the family. So I'm trying to do some extra stuff here, trying to go, baby. Let's rock and roll. This thing's growing. Oh, God, we got people rolling in right at the end. Young Black Economist. Sad I missed today. I'll see y'all later, though. Check out the replay of this one. It's a crazy one. And please come back through Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time as we roll back around, baby. And this one is a crazy one. And we have another witness who, again, held at gunpoint by this freaking psychopath. I mean, Jesus, man. And everybody's in the chat killing it today. Killing it today. Any dads out there, happy Father's Day. Enjoy your day. Get to grilling, get to drinking some brews, get to doing a little probably nothing, you know. You have to tell anybody about it. I don't have to tell anybody about it. No one has to know about it. Love you guys, man. Crazy, crazy. Anybody that didn't check out Murder Church on Friday, on the Kick version, we watched Pineapple Express. Go check that out. I'm going to try to get that screen recorded so I can put that exclusively where it will stay. It'll live on Patreon, and I'll be deleting that off Kick. But it is on there for now. For a little bit longer, you can see that one before I get rid of that bad boy. Everybody, though, thank y'all so much. Any single dads, Charlotte's out here, holler. What's up? Yo, I just put it out here right now, baby. And Charlotte's, she made me crack the hell up in the chat, sending me a package of goods from the UK. Okay, now when this happens, all right, when this happens, it's going to be special. All right, I'm getting with her. All right, me and Charlotte is going to put together a segment, a show. We're going to put together something. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go down yet, but we're going to put together something to show. And hopefully I can get together with some more folks from around the world. And maybe, I'm not saying you have to send it to me for free. We can work out how to get it to me, but I would like snacks from around the world to be able to try out here on one of these shows here. You know what I'm saying? Huh? So we're going to do the damn thing. I can't wait, man. The thing's coming out here. Hopefully it comes quick. I don't know how long it takes for stuff to get from the UK here, but we'll see. Hopefully not too long. Maybe a week, 2 weeks. Yeah, we're gonna figure it out, man. We're gonna do some cool stuff. International gifts. Keystone's trying to come on and hang out. Yeah, we'll do some cool stuff, man. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, love you guys. Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Come back through. We're going to continue rolling with this insane Phil Spector trial. And love you guys. Have a great one. Happy Father's Day.